Chapter 2746, Not Fair. Chapter 2746, Not Fair. Everyone looked at Elder May. Elder May was frowning. "Mister," Duan asked, "how long will it take to open this door?" Elder May shook his head. "The formation is very complicated. It'll take me at least 7 days." 7 days. Before he could say another word, he sensed a force inside the mine. Crack! The heavy bronze door rumbled. Everyone jumped. What the hell? They looked at one another, and all of them moved away from the door. "Elder May, what's going on?" "Mister," Yang asked. Elder May was as confused as everyone else. Seeing the look on Elder May's face, Zhuo Qingwan tried to save him from the awkward situation. The secret essence mine has been buried underground for so long. Anything could have happened. I'm sure Elder May will figure out soon. Hearing the crack, Mr. Yang was struck by an idea. Can it be opened from inside? Elder May rolled his eyes. Zhuo Qingwan answered for him. The door is locked from outside by the formation. How can it be opened from inside? Elder May nodded. She was right. It couldn't be opened from the inside. Seeing this, Zhuo Qingwan knew Elder May agreed with her, so she scolded Mr. Yang again. "Mr. Yang, please don't speculate when you don't know what's going on. You'll make the others panic." Mr. Yang was speechless. But right at that moment, crack, the sealed heavy door. The door that Zhuo Qingwan was so sure couldn't be opened from the inside. It slowly opened as everyone watched. Everybody was astonished. They all looked at Zhuo Qingwan. Zhuo Qingwan was utterly embarrassed. The sound of the door opening felt like a slap to her face. It seemed to take forever for the door to open. Zhuo Qingwan had to live with the humiliation the entire time. Why is it open? She was ready for battle. Are the spirit stone worms coming out? The tutors were all alarmed. "Everybody, get ready for battle," Zhuo Qingwan shouted. They all copied Zhuo Qingwan and got into position to defend against the incoming enemy. However, they only saw teenage students file out the door. Feng Wu led the way, followed by Xiao Xiao, Huashan, and the others. The last person's head was covered with black cloth, and the person was tied up with layers of rope. Everybody outside was shocked. Feng Wu, Mr. Yang was the first to recognize her. He ran to her side and grabbed her hand. "You're alive. I can't believe it." When he looked past her, he was so excited that he almost couldn't form a coherent sentence. "You're all still alive." He was almost in tears. Zhuo Qingwan's pupils contracted when she saw Feng Wu. Feng Wu was still alive. How could that be? Why didn't she die inside? Why was she still alive? This wasn't fair. Chapter 2747. Who did this to you? Chapter 2747. Who did this to you? Elder May was amazed when he saw the students. He had believed the door was sealed and could only be opened from outside. How had these people opened it? Could he have been wrong? Was the door not sealed? While he was considering the possibilities, the others were thrilled. "I'm so glad you're all right." Gong Sun Mu was relieved when he saw Feng Wu. "Mr. Yang, do a head count," he told Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang nodded and checked the name list. He sounded worried when he said, "We're short one person." "Who?" the others asked. Just then, someone ran toward them, shouting, "Where's Shan Jingfei? Has anyone seen her?" It was none other than Xiao Ziyu, Shan Jingfei's boyfriend. He had come here in a hurry when he received the news, but he couldn't find Shan Jingfei anywhere. He rushed to Xue Hao's side and asked, "Xue Hao, where's Shan Jingfei? I told Xueqing team to look after her. Where is she now?" Xue Hao was reminded of what Shan Jingfei had done to mine. His eyes went red, and he was so furious that he couldn't say a word. "Look at the stretchers." He glared at Xiao Ziyu. The stretchers? He was referring to Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing. Xiao Ziyu glanced at them without paying much attention. He went on asking, "Where's Shan Jingfei? Did you lose her?" Then he heard a whimper. Everyone looked in the direction of the noise. They saw Chui Ping and Wu Qing, 2 members of Xueqing team. They were escorting a person. The person was gagged and wearing a black cloth over the head. Because of that, the person could only whimper. Xiao Ziyu found the person's figure familiar, so he pulled off the black cloth. Everybody saw who it was. Fei Fei. Xiao Ziyu's eyes widened when he saw Shan Jingfei. He looked from Shueqing team to their prisoner and was infuriated. He pulled Shan Jingfei away from the two team members and shouted, "What do you think you're doing?" Xiao Ziyu was a member of the second-seeded team and a top 10 student in Class A. Shueqing team wasn't his match. They couldn't do anything when Xiao Ziyu dragged Shan Jingfei away. Xiao Ziyu removed the rope around Shan Jingfei's wrists and took out the cloth that was in her mouth. "Fei Fei, are you all right?" Shan Jingfei was filled with resentment and frustration, and she finally found an outlet. She burst into tears and wrapped her arms around Xiao Ziyu. "Ziyu, help me. They want to kill me. Please help me." Feng Wu wanted to sigh. She considered herself to be a good actress, but Shan Jingfei's acting was on a completely different level. Shan Jingfei was Xiao Ziyu's goddess, and it pained him to see her like this. He wrapped his arms around Shan Jingfei and bellowed, "Who did this to you? Tell me." Chapter 2748. How dare they? Chapter 2748. How dare they? Xiao Ziyu wrapped his arms around Shan Jingfei and said sympathetically, "You're such a kind girl. After what they did to you, you're still trying to cover for them. They don't deserve you. How evil are they? How could they do this to you?" Xiao Ziyu genuinely felt sorry for her. What he didn't know was how much his words disgusted Feng Wu and the others. Shan Jingfei cried even louder. Xiao Ziyu felt even more sympathetic. Seeing that Shan Jingfei wouldn't name anyone, he turned to Cui Ping and Wu Qing. "Speak." Xiao Ziyu glared at them. "I'm going to make you pay for what you did to my baby." Wu Qing snorted. "Xiao Ziyu, just because you're a member of the second-seeded team doesn't mean you can deal out justice. We have rules." Cui Ping chimed in. "There's justice in this world, and evil people will get what they deserve. If I were you, I would take a closer look at the woman in your arms." Xiao Ziyu had expected them to drop to their knees and beg for his forgiveness, but he couldn't be any more wrong. Feeling the girl tremble in his arms, Xiao Ziyu patted her on the back and said softly, "Don't be afraid. I'll right the wrong for you. I won't let anyone harm you." After that, he looked at Cui Ping and Wu Qing again. The next second, he took action. He reached for Cui Ping's throat. Cui Ping was terrified. He was much weaker than Xiao Ziyu and didn't have a skill to dodge the attack. It happened quicker than words could describe. "Mr. Duan stepped in. We don't have time for this. Stop it, all of you." Xiao Ziyu didn't want to stop. "Mr. Yang, if I don't punish them now, I can't promise what I'll do to them later." "Mr. Duan frowned. Was Xiao Ziyu threatening him? Cui Ping smirked. Shan Jingfei almost got Yi Hongxue and Lin Junxing killed. "There, I said it." "No, I didn't." Of course, Shan Jingfei wasn't going to admit it in front of so many people. She denied it right away. But everyone heard what Cui Ping said. "Mr. Duan frowned. We'll talk about it later. Don't block that door. It's the entrance to the secret essence mine. Who knows when the wind will come back?" Gong Sun Mu nodded as well. "Go back to the school. We'll deal with it later." While everyone was heading back, Feng Wu noticed an old man heading into the mine. "Hey!" Feng Wu stopped him. "Are you out of your mind? Don't you know how dangerous it is inside? You can't go in on your own. There are 80,000 tunnels and countless spirit stone worms inside." Elder Mei gave her a strange look. So did the others. He was Elder Mei. He was a prominent figure of the Empire and a level 8 formation master. How could a student talk to him that way? Zhuoqing Wan was secretly pleased to see Feng Wu make a fool of herself. She thought that Feng Wu was about to die. Chapter 2749 Gift. Chapter 2749 Gift. Everyone gave Feng Wu strange looks. Feng Wu ran to Elder Mei's side. "Stay away from that mine if you don't want to die." Elder Mei smirked. He then glanced at Gong Sun Mu. Gong Sun Mu intervened. "Feng Wu, this is Elder Mei." Feng Wu said, "I don't care if he's Elder Mei or Elder April. This mine has more than a few formations. If you go in alone, you'll never come out." Elder Mei said, That is a bold claim, young lady. Seeing that Elder May was angry, Gong Sun Mu gave Feng Wu a warning look. Elder May knows formations. He's the... However, Feng Wu cut him off. I think his knowledge is quite limited. Zhuo Qingwan finally laughed. Feng Wu was more arrogant than she had expected. Zhuo Qingwan couldn't wait to become Elder May's disciple, but Feng Wu had criticized the old man. Elder May shook his head and walked toward the mine. Feng Wu had no choice but to give him a paper crane. Since you're so stubborn, I don't have anything else to say. Take this crane with you. If you can't find the way, it'll lead you out of the mine. Elder May wanted to laugh. So did everyone else. That was hilarious. Had Feng Wu lost her mind? He was Elder May. He was the best formation master in Imperial College. What had she just said to him? Is your formation tutor, Mr. Wu? Mr. Su asked Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded. She nodded because she remembered Mr. Wu was the formation tutor in Imperial College, not that she had learned anything from him. Mr. Su gave her a strange look. I'm Mr. Wu's teacher. Feng Wu nodded. So what? Mr. Su said proudly. And Elder May here is my tutor. Mr. Su expected to see a stumped look on Feng Wu's face, and he was ready to hear her apology. But none of that happened. Feng Wu only frowned at him. Zhuo Qingwan couldn't stand it anymore. Feng Wu, you're so arrogant. I won't let you offend Elder May. Elder May didn't like Feng Wu at all. Feng Wu was about to say something when Elder May entered the mine. Seeing this, Zhuo Qingwan snuck in behind him. She decided to use this chance to slander Feng Wu with all her might and become Elder May's disciple, even if it was just wishful thinking. Shan Jingfei wasn't feeling as great as Zhuo Qingwan. After they went back to Imperial College, they were all taken to the chief's office. Gong Sun Mu said, "You can tell me what happened now." "I didn't do anything," Shan Jingfei cried. "Why would I harm Yi Hongxue? That's not like me. You're making it up." Chui Ping smirked. "Stop pretending and admit what you did. Yi Hongxue wanted to save you, but you returned her kindness with ingratitude." Chapter 2750. Who's the Bad Person? Chapter 2750. Who's the Bad Person? Shan Jingfei said, "I didn't." The quarreling gave Gong Sun Mu a headache. He said to Mr. Duan, "Let each of them write down what happened. I want all the details." How clever, Feng Wu thought to herself. Gong Sun Mu was wiser than she had expected. She glanced at Shan Jingfei and saw how pale she had become. Qiu Ziyu smirked. "Let's do it. The devil is in the details." Feng Wu smiled at him. "I'm glad you think that way." Qiu Ziyu glanced at her. Although Feng Wu was much prettier than Shan Jingfei, he told himself that he wouldn't be tempted. The students sat down around the round table in the conference room. They all started writing. The only exceptions were Yi Hongxue and Lin Junsheng, who were still unconscious. Feng Wu was the first to finish. Shan Jingfei's face darkened, and she glanced at her teammates. Seeing that they were still writing, she calmed down a little. She believed Xing Xuan would take her side because they were best friends. Yihan was her newest fan, so she shouldn't say bad things about her either. Gu Xingyuan seemed to like her, so he should be on her side, too. And there were some others. In other words, Shan Jingfei wasn't worried. She finished hers and handed it in. Gong Sun Mu read through all the statements before giving them to the other tutors. He gave Shan Jingfei a strange look. After the other tutors read the statements, they stared at Shan Jingfei in the same way. Mr. Yang glared at her. "How dare you?" He was furious and disappointed. Shan Jingfei's stomach lurched. What was going on? Mr. Yang started at Shan Jingfei. "Tell me the truth." Shan Jingfei said, I... She turned to Qiu Ziyu for help. Qiu Ziyu said, Fei, don't worry. I won't let them wrong you." Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. "We set out together. Then Feng Wu found us. She didn't want to help us, but she still did, probably because she didn't want to get blamed later. She then separated from us when she went to save someone else. The paper crane took us to the formation core. The worms wanted to eat us. Yi Hongxue helped me when I ran into the circle. She was so kind, and she was injured when she tried to save me. I accidentally pushed her out of the circle. She kept glancing at Xiao Ziyu as she spoke. Xiao Ziyu thought, she's the kindest girl in the world. He said, Fei Fei, don't cry. I'm so worried about Hongxue. Fei Fei, don't worry. You're such a kind girl. I'm sure Yi Hongxue knows she did the right thing. Right my ass. Xue Hao couldn't stand it anymore and threw a punch at Xiao Ziyu's face. Xiao Ziyu was much more capable, but he was taken by surprise. The fist landed on his nose. Chapter 2751, Love the Wrong Person. Chapter 2751, Love the Wrong Person. Xiao Ziyu raised his hand, ready to retaliate. However, Mr. Duan frowned and shouted, Xiao Ziyu, stop. Xiao Ziyu was dumbfounded. Because of his talent, his tutors had always favored him and had never scolded him like this. Get your ass down here. Mr. Duan was genuinely angry. Xiao Ziyu rubbed his nose and glared at Xue Hao. He was determined to get back at the boy later. When he walked up to Mr. Duan, the latter stuffed a stack of papers in his hand. Read them. Xiao Ziyu was bored. Why would he believe in those people's stories? However, when he read through the statements, he saw that apart from Shan Jingfei, everyone had told the same story. It seemed they agreed on the same thing. Xiao Ziyu wanted to see who wrote what, but Mr. Duan gave him a stern look. They're all about the same events. It doesn't matter who wrote what. Although Xiao Ziyu didn't say anything, he agreed with his teacher. However, it meant Shan Jingfei wasn't as nice as he had thought. That was an understatement. By the look of it, she was an ungrateful, evil woman. The contrast was so great that Xiao Ziyu didn't know how to react. Shan Jingfei grew uneasy when she saw everyone's reactions. However, she remained confident. She believed she had some loyal fans here. Yihan and Xing Xuan at least would support her. However, Xiao Ziyu stared at her and asked, Did you really drag Yi Hongxue out of the circle? Shan Jingfei looked at him in disbelief. Xiao Ziyu took a step forward. Yi Hongxue saved you. Did you really try to kill her? Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. Xiao Ziyu took another step forward and glowered at her. You're so evil. Shan Jingfei backed away as Xiao Ziyu moved closer. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. Shan Jingfei shook her head. I would never do such a thing. I'd rather die than have someone die for me. Ziyu, you know what kind of person I am. Xiao Ziyu frowned and hesitated. But everyone wrote in their statements about how you betrayed Yi Hongxue, your savior. Xiao Ziyu bellowed. What? Shan Jingfei was shocked. Everyone. Did you say everyone? Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. All of them. Xiao Ziyu said, Yes, everyone but you. Shan Jingfei looked like she had been struck by lightning. That was to say, all her so-called loyal fans had betrayed her. Xing Xuan. Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth and glared at the girl. Xing Xuan had made up her mind when she wrote her statement. She knew Shan Jingfei wasn't a worthy friend after she saw what Shan Jingfei did to Yi Hongxue. Fei Fei, I'm sorry. Xing Xuan smiled bitterly. Hongxue saved you, but you betrayed her and almost got her killed. I can't lie about that. Otherwise, it'll haunt me for the rest of my life. She bowed, indicating that their friendship was over. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. Yihan, what about you? Shan Jingfei stared at her. Do you remember what you said when you came to me? You said you would do whatever I told you to do. You would even sell your soul to me. You betrayed me. Yihan shook her head. Jingfei, Hongxue helped you, but you almost got her killed. I can't imagine what you'll do to me one day. Chapter 2752, Inform Her Parents. Chapter 2752, Inform Her Parents. Yihan said, If I get in your way one day, you won't hesitate to kill me. I'm not brave enough to follow someone like you. I'm sorry. She gave Shan Jingfei a bow as well before standing on the side. Shan Jingfei stared at her in astonishment. Even Yihan had betrayed her. Gu Xingyuan, what about you? Are you going to betray me, too? Didn't you say you and Feng Wu were at odds? Didn't you say you would never forgive Feng Wu for ruining your family? Shan Jingfei glared at Gu Xingyuan. Gu Xingyuan felt conflicted. He had wanted to help Shan Jingfei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have joined her team. However, he was bewildered by everything that had happened so far. Feng Wu was his archenemy, but she was beyond his reach. He had thought she was a level 6 spiritual lord, but after seeing her fight, he realized she was at least a level 9 spiritual lord. He wasn't her match at all. She also knew formations and inscriptions. Gu Xingyuan had lost all hope. Shan Jingfei was still staring at him. Gu Xingyuan shook his head. At odds? That suggests that both sides are matched in strength. Do you think I have that kind of capability? Shan Jingfei became desperate. The more people she asked, the more hopeless she felt. Qiu Ziyu asked, "Did you really do that to Yi Hongxue, your savior? Is this who you really are?" Shan Jingfei closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she glared at Qiu Ziyu and said, "Yes, I drag Yi Hongxue out." Rumble. Those words shattered all Qiu Ziyu's hopes. He pointed at Shan Jingfei and couldn't say a word. In a way, Shan Jingfei was an incredible person. She could pretend to be fragile or kind when she needed to. However, when she was exposed, she became utterly distant. You admitted it quickly enough. Yi Hongxue stared at Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. "You're still alive. I don't owe you anything." Yi Hongxue's voice was filled with hatred. "Do you know what you've done to me?" Shan Jingfei didn't speak. Yi Hongxue said, "You've made me lose hope in people. From now on, I'll hesitate before I save someone. I'll wonder if they'll turn out to be as ungrateful as you. I don't have that unconditional kindness anymore." She took a deep breath. "But I want to thank you, Shan Jingfei. You made me see the world from a different angle. I was so foolish before." Feng Wu felt sorry for Yi Hongxue, but she was pleased to see her change. The incident had been a hard blow to Yi Hongxue, but it had also helped her grow. Feng Wu patted Yi Hongxue on the shoulder. "You're still alive." Yi Hongxue smiled and nodded. "Yes, luckily I'm still alive." She then turned to Mr. Yang. Shan Jingfei must be punished for what she did. Shan Jingfei glared at her. Yi Hongxue glared back. "That look you're giving me means you haven't repented. I won't let you off the hook so easily." Shan Jingfei clenched her fists but didn't dare say anything. "Inform her parents." Mr. Yang turned to Gong Sun Mu. "It's not something the Academy can handle on its own. We must send for her parents." Chapter 2753, Shan Jingfei 1. Chapter 2753, Shan Jingfei 1. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. She had always been a good daughter in her parents' eyes. Telling them what happened here would be a humiliation. She looked up and glared at Feng Wu. Had it not been for Feng Wu, things would never have turned out like this. The Shan family wasn't one of the 9 major clans, but it was still an influential one. The parent who arrived at the War Academy was Shan Jixiong, Shan Jingfei's father. It had never occurred to him that his perfect daughter would do something like this, and there was proof and witnesses. Shan Jixiong was petrified. He threw a dirty look at his daughter and was going to deal with her when they returned home. However, Shan Jingfei stepped forward and looked at Gong Sun Mu. "I want to make a request. I volunteered to go to Peace Grassland." Everyone looked at her in surprise. Class B students didn't know much about Peace Grassland. All the students of Class A had been there before and knew how dangerous the place was. Shan Jingfei said calmly, "I want to go to the battlefield and fight our enemies. I know I did the wrong thing, and I want to repent by giving my life to Hongxue. However, if I die like that, I would be wasting all the resources the school has invested in me. I want to fight the Dongsheng soldiers on Peace Grassland. It'll be a good way to spend the rest of my life. I want to stay there for at least 3 years. I'll consider myself a fortunate person if I return alive. If I don't, I won't blame anyone either." Shan Jixiong was astonished. "No, you can't." Shan Jixiong was furious about what his daughter had done, but when he heard her request, he wouldn't let her do that. Peace Grassland is too dangerous. No one can stay there for that long. This is suicide. Shan Jingfei had tears in her eyes as she smiled sadly. Father, I did the wrong thing, and my crime is punishable by death. If I die in the war, I'll get what I deserve. I'm sorry to have disappointed you. She then dropped to her knees and banged her forehead on the floor 3 times. It pained Xiaoziyu to see Shan Jingfei like this. He gritted his teeth. You don't have to. No, I have to. I did the wrong thing, and I have to take responsibility, Shan Jingfei said firmly. She then turned to Feng Wu. The smile on her face was almost genuine. Feng Wu, I want to thank you. If you hadn't pointed out my mistake, I wouldn't have realized what I'd done. You woke me up. If you hadn't taught me a lesson, I would still be the stubborn girl who wouldn't admit her mistakes. Thank you. Feng Wu studied her and shook her head inwardly. It wasn't easy to beat Shan Jingfei. Even in this situation, she could still escape punishment by going to Peace Grassland. Once she was there, she would have plenty of chances to stay alive. Moreover, if Shan Jingfei's gratitude were genuine, she wouldn't have made that little speech. She was trying to make people hate Feng Wu. She had done on purpose. It was incredible. Shan Jixiong and Xiaoziyu glared at Feng Wu like she had killed all their family members. Shan Jingfei bowed to Gongsun Mu and Mr. Yang. Sir, would you please let me go to Peace Grassland? Chapter 2754, A Twist. Chapter 2754, A Twist. At this point, even Mr. Yang was moved. He used to dote on Shan Jingfei and was utterly disappointed by her true nature. However, seeing that Shan Jingfei was going to take full responsibility, he was proud of her again. That's great. Pleased, he patted her shoulder. I'm so glad that you're brave enough to accept the consequences. It's never too late to correct your mistakes. Shan Jingfei, you're going to be great. Feng Wu shook her head inwardly when she saw other people's reactions. These people were so gullible. How could they be fooled so easily? However, she knew they wouldn't listen to her now. When the others saw Shan Jingfei off, the girl looked back at Feng Wu. She smiled in a provoking manner before she walked away. Yi Hongxue frowned. Is it me? Or was that an evil smile? Xiaoziyu threw her a dirty look. What more do you want? Yi Hongxue, you're still alive. He walked off after that. The last look he gave Feng Wu was rather terrifying. Yi Hongxue was dumbfounded. What did I do? I only asked a question. Shan Jixiong stared at Feng Wu. Miss Feng, I'll remember what you did for my daughter. He left as well. Another threat. Mr. Yang said, Feng Wu, we're all done here. You can leave now. He had conflicted feelings about Feng Wu. Naturally, he was biased toward Shan Jingfei, but he couldn't deny that Feng Wu had done the right thing. Because of that, he couldn't accuse Feng Wu of anything. He didn't like her, and everybody could tell. Feng Wu couldn't care less if Mr. Yang liked her or not. She reminded him, Mr. Yang, it's time to announce the final rankings. Hearing that, Mr. Yang liked her even less. He decided that Feng Wu wasn't as considerate as Shan Jingfei. He thought, she's short-sighted and only cares about her own gains. He glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was perplexed. What did she do? She only wanted to know the final rankings. Gongsun Mu had always taken Feng Wu's side, so he intervened when he saw that Mr. Yang was angry. Although you ran into some difficulties, I'm so glad all of you came out alive. We need to thank Feng Wu for that. In their statements, everybody wrote about what Feng Wu had done for them. Some went into detail, and others only mentioned it in passing, but nothing could change what Feng Wu had done. What Gongsun Mu said was a reminder to Mr. Yang, who then realized that Feng Wu wasn't an ordinary student. Mr. Yang then went back to the statements and was surprised by what he read. He had only focused on what Shan Jingfei had done when he read them the first time round. This time, he noticed more details. You led everyone out of the secret essence mine. You knew the way out of the tunnels. You understand formations. You know inscriptions to Mr. Yang showered Feng Wu with questions. However, Feng Wu was a proud girl. It was obvious that Mr. Yang didn't like her, so she had no reason to answer his questions. She only frowned and asked, "Can we announce the rankings now?" Mr. Yang was furious that he was being ignored. Chapter 2755, The Master Swordsman. Chapter 2755, The Master Swordsman. Mr. Yang looked at Feng Wu and said, "We should all learn to be more forgiving." He was hinting to Feng Wu about Shan Jingfei. Feng Wu shook her head. A leopard cannot change its spots. Mr. Yang shook his head. She was too difficult to teach. He missed Shan Jingfei, the obedient girl. Gather everyone on the sports ground. We'll make the announcement. Mr. Yang sounded somewhat disappointed. Hearing that, all the Class B students rushed to the sports ground, and Xueqing team was left behind. Mr. Duan asked curiously, "What am I reading here? Did Feng Wu really lead you out of that mine?" Yi Hongxue nodded. "Sir, Feng Wu is much more capable than you think." Mr. Duan was curious. "In that case, are you saying that she's good enough to go to Class A?" Yi Hongxue and her friends gave him strange looks. Xuehao smiled bitterly. "Mr. Duan, you're making fun of us." Mr. Duan was relieved, until Xuehao added, "She's beyond that. I'm sure she'll be among the top 5 students in our class." Xuehao hesitated a little and turned to his teammates for their opinion. Yi Hongxue shook her head. "Top 5? No, she'll definitely be the best student in Class A." What? Mr. Duan had been amazed by Feng Wu, but when he heard this, he thought the students were exaggerating. He didn't believe them. "Fine." He stopped them with a wave of his hand. "Go back to your class." "Sir," Yi Hongxue asked before they left, "may we ask why the ground caved in?" The information was being kept confidential, but because Yi Hongxue and her team had almost been killed, perhaps they could get an explanation. Mr. Duan looked at Gong Sun Mu. Gong Sun Mu shook his head. Chu Tianxiao slashed the ground open with a single strike. Chu Tianxiao. Yi Hongxue and the others were surprised. As in Master Chu Tianxiao from our textbooks. Gong Sun Mu nodded. The students were astonished. They had assumed that the man had already been dead for many years. However, he was still alive. How old would that make him now? He must be immortal. What kind of power can open up the ground like that? That's so scary. So, that swordsman in white was Master Chu Tianxiao. Gosh, we would have gone out and met him if we knew who he was. Mr. Gong Sun and Mr. Duan looked at them in surprise. "Did you see the old master?" "Sir, he wasn't old at all." Yi Hongxue shook her head. Mr. Duan said, "So he has been active since the establishment of Imperial College. What does he look like now?" "I didn't see." Yi Hongxue shook her head. "We were too far away and didn't dare move closer." Feng Wu ran to his side, though. "What?" Feng Wu saw him. "Did she walk up to him?" Mr. Duan was shocked. "Why wasn't she killed?" Yi Hongxue said, "I don't know. I think she even talked to him." Both Mr. Duan and Gong Sun Mu were astonished. "She talked to him? Doesn't she know how formidable that master is?" His master was Mu Jiuzhou, who once ruled the continent. Chapter 2756, Greatest Man on the Continent. Chapter 2756, Greatest Man on the Continent. That was crazy. Chu Tianxiao had such a terrifying background. With Mu Jiuzhou as his master, he could get away with anything. Feng Wu is so bold. Gong Sun Mu was still in a state of shock. That old master isn't the most easygoing person. She was very lucky. Mr. Duan smiled bitterly. He decided that Feng Wu was too much trouble and that he should keep his distance. By then, Feng Wu had arrived at the sports ground. Despite his reluctance, Mr. Yang announced the final rankings. Because of the countless spirit stone worms Feng Wu had hunted, she was first. Her team was the best as well. Shan Jingfei's team was nowhere close. The school had blocked the news that it was Feng Wu who had saved all the students. Because a master like Chu Tianxiao was involved, the school had everybody sign a confidentiality agreement. It successfully kept the news from spreading. Feng Wu had only joined Class B, so the students didn't know her well. Feng Wu is first. Seriously? Why? What did she do to get there? What about Shan Jingfei? Where's our class president? I haven't seen her. Is she all right? I saw her father just then, and he was storming off. He said Jingfei has gone to Peace Grassland. Peace Grassland? Isn't there a war over there? Why did she suddenly go there? Feng Wu only became first after Shan Jingfei left, didn't she? What's Feng Wu's background? How could she make Jingfei leave? Who knows? She sure has a pretty face. It has to be her doing. When a person or a force was on the rise, they would always be criticized at first. The students didn't know what really happened, so they could only follow their instincts. They instinctively questioned why Feng Wu received so much attention. Public opinion wasn't on Feng Wu's side. Xiao Xiao and his friends were frustrated. Shan Jingfei had gotten what she deserved, but everyone was blaming Feng Wu now. Feng Wu was their savior. She had even saved Class A's Shiweching team. She knew formations and inscriptions, and she was even a supreme-level medicine refiner. When they told the others about Feng Wu's abilities, the others just looked at them as if they had lost their minds. Xiao Xiao shouted in frustration, "It's true. We're telling the truth." And the crowd was speechless. They shook their heads and walked away. They believed that Xiao Xiao and his friends had gone mad. Feng Wu had to have a very powerful patron. That was the only reason Xiao Xiao and the others could say such shameless things. Xiao Xiao was furious. Ling Hao said, "We're telling the truth. Why won't they believe us? They're even covering their ears." Huashan said, "That's better than how they reacted when I spoke. They spat at me and called me a sycophant." He then changed his tone. "So what if I am one? Not every person gets to be Feng Wu's sycophant. Yihan would like to be one now, but do you think Feng Wu will take her?" Yihan was furious. Since when did she say that? However, she was filled with despair when she recalled how capable Feng Wu was. Chapter 2757. How can she be so capable? Chapter 2757. How can she be so capable? Yihan felt that it was hopeless. How could Feng Wu be so capable? She wanted to be Feng Wu's enemy, but that would be like an ant threatening to kill an eagle. She felt ridiculous. She walked away, full of despair. She needed to work very hard before she could consider herself Feng Wu's enemy. Meanwhile, it was already announced that Feng Wu was first. That meant she could be promoted to Class A, but she didn't go there. Instead, she went to Dynasty Team. Most of the Class A students had gone to Peace Grassland, and only a handful remained in the academy. Chun Ziyun was the leader of Dynasty Team, which was known as the seeded team. There were 10 of them in total. The varsity and junior varsity teams each contained 5 members. Qiu Ziyu, the boy in love with Shan Jingfei, was the captain of the junior varsity team. Dynasty Team had their own training venue. It was in the center of the academy and close to the core of the formation. It was where the spiritual essence was the densest, which showed how important the team was. Qiu Ziyu was with 3 other boys. One of them smiled brightly and teased him. "Ziyu, your girl is coming, right? We finally get to meet her." "Yes, finally." After Mingyul left, Ziyu saved that spot for Fei Fei. "No one else will take it." Qiu Ziyu's face darkened when he heard that. Yes, he had saved that spot for Shan Jingfei, but she had been defeated and had left for Peace Grassland. She wasn't coming here. Before he could say anything, they heard footsteps outside. "She's here. Ziyu's girl is here." Qiu Ziyu's face was livid. He was about to say something when his friends pushed him toward the door. There was a knock. The door wasn't locked, and a beautiful face appeared. "Is this the junior varsity team?" The boys were astonished when they saw Feng Wu's face. Since when did they have such a beautiful girl here in the academy? They had seen Shan Jingfei before, and she was as pretty as a campus belle should be. However, compared with this girl, Shan Jingfei couldn't be any more ordinary. You're... Chu Chu was the most active member of the team, but he was stammering, and even his ears had turned pink. It was love at first sight. Chu Chu wasn't alone. The other 2 boys were dumbfounded as well. They couldn't look away. She was everything they dreamed of. Seeing the strange looks on their faces, Feng Wu backed out to check the plate on the wall. She was in the right room. She recognized Qiu Ziyu. She frowned at Qiu Ziyu and asked, "This is the junior varsity team, right?" The sight of Feng Wu reminded Qiu Ziyu of Shan Jingfei, and he wondered how his Fei would do in the grassland. Hatred filled his eyes. He glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu asked, "Where's your captain?" Qiu Ziyu was the captain of this team. Shan Jingfei, Chu Chu asked enviously. The other two boys also gave Qiu Ziyu jealous looks. Chapter 2758, Qiu Ziyu's Girl? Chapter 2758, Qiu Ziyu's Girl. "Are you really Shan Jingfei?" the other two teenagers asked. Qiu Ziyu smirked. "No, she's not. This is Feng Wu. She's just joined us." Although the boys hadn't heard the name before, they were relieved to hear that she wasn't Qiu Ziyu's girl. So, she was a new student. They thought they had a chance. However, before they could start celebrating, they heard Feng Wu ask, "Who's the captain?" They pushed Qiu Ziyu toward her. "Here he is." They all looked at Qiu Ziyu, hoping that he could say some nice things about them. These idiots, Qiu Ziyu gritted his teeth. He had wanted to warn them so that they could turn against Feng Wu together. By the look of things, that was never going to happen. Feng Wu smiled at them. "I'm here to register. Can you show me what I should do?" Chu Chu asked eagerly. "What do you need?" "I'll give you a hand. I get along with everyone in Class A." The other two teenagers also hovered around Feng Wu. "We'll come with you." Feng Wu turned to Qiu Ziyu. "Are you coming?" Qiu Ziyu snorted and looked away. Feng Wu wasn't affected and smiled at the other three boys. "I won first place in Class B, and I'm a member of the junior varsity team now." "What? You? No way. What about Shan Jingfei? I thought this spot was reserved for her." Everyone turned to Qiu Ziyu. Qiu Ziyu's face went livid. He smirked and said, "Feng Wu, you actually came. That's very bold of you." Feng Wu was perplexed. "Why shouldn't I come?" Qiu Ziyu was about to answer when Feng Wu cut him off. "I didn't lead my team into a death trap. I didn't try to get people killed. I didn't return kindness with ingratitude and try to kill the person who saved my life. I didn't. That's enough." Qiu Ziyu bellowed. Every word felt like a slap to his face, and his cheeks twitched. He turned to the other three boys. "It's either her or me. Make your choice." He then stormed off and slammed the door. Chu Chu was speechless. So were the other two. They asked Feng Wu, "What's the matter with our captain?" Feng Wu said calmly, "He's angry because he's ashamed." Chu Chu was speechless. He had never met a new member who was so calm. Did she know she was a newbie here? Shouldn't the new member be timid and careful? Feng Wu looked at them. "Can we start now?" Chu Chu had a feeling that one wouldn't want to mess with this girl. He decided to take her to the captain of the varsity team, since Qiu Ziyu obviously couldn't handle her. Chu Chu said, "Sure. Let's get going. I'll take you to the captain of the varsity team. If he agrees, you'll be the new member of our team." Feng Wu asked, "Who's that?" Chu Chu said, "He's Chun Ziyun, and he's amazing." While Chu Chu was singing Chun Ziyun's praises, Feng Wu frowned. Why did that name sound familiar? Chapter 2759, Team Members. Chapter 2759, Team Members. Qiu Ziyu went to the stadium next door. There were two stadiums, one which belonged to the varsity team and the other to the junior varsity team. Feng Wu had won a place in the junior varsity team, but she needed recognition from the varsity team. "What if Chun Ziyan won't take me?" Feng Wu asked Chu Chu. Chu Chu looked around to make sure that Qiu Ziyu wasn't nearby. He then leaned in closer and whispered, "If neither Captain Chun nor Captain Xiu will take you, you'll be sent back." Feng Wu nodded. Chu Chu reminded Feng Wu, "Captain Chun is all about formalities. When you meet him, you can't address him by his name. You need to call him Captain Chun, all right?" Chu Chu was a kind person, and he found Feng Wu adorable. Although Qiu Ziyu had made it clear that he didn't like Feng Wu, Chu Chu was still friendly toward her. Feng Wu glanced at him. "Are you sure Qiu Ziyu won't blame you for telling me that?" Chu Chu looked at her. Do you want to hear the truth? Feng Wu said, do tell. Chu Chu said, we didn't agree when Xiao Ziyu wanted to reserve that place for Shan Jingfei. He was abusing his power. However, Shan Jingfei is almost capable enough to win that place, so we didn't object. As for you, I don't know how you got here, but Xiao Ziyu doesn't like you, and Captain Chen will only play by the book. I don't think you'll be with us for much longer. In that case, it won't hurt anybody if I just show you around. Feng Wu looked at him. What they said was true. The War Academy only had elite students. Chu Chu wasn't as naive as he appeared to be. The friendly boy next door was only a disguise he was wearing. Feng Wu smiled. I didn't think much of the seeded team. I think I may change my opinion now. Chu Chu and his teammates looked at one another in amazement. One arrogant girl. They thought she might not be good enough for this team. As it turned out, she didn't think they were good enough for her either. Had they missed something? Chu Chu had looked through Feng Wu's file to ensure that she really was a new student. She didn't sound like someone who had only joined the school less than 6 months ago. Chu Chu was speechless. So were his teammates. Pretty girls nowadays could be so proud. They had liked Feng Wu at first, but her arrogance made them change their opinion, and they were hoping to see what Captain Shan would do to her. Unfortunately, they didn't know that Feng Wu was capable enough to make such a claim. Xiao Ziyu arrived at the varsity team before Feng Wu did. Ziyu, what's wrong? You look so angry. The varsity team had 5 members, and the speaker was Wang Xiao, who was the closest to Xiao Ziyu out of the 5. Xiao Ziyu sat down angrily and smacked the table. This is ridiculous. So, someone has offended you. Was it your lovely fiancé? Wang Xiao teased him. The mention of Shan Jingfei made Xiao Ziyu even more furious. Chapter 2760, Complaint. Chapter 2760, Complaint. Xiao Ziyu looked furious when Shan Jingfei's name was mentioned. He also looked pained. He buried his face in his hands, and when he looked up again, his eyes were red. Wang Xiao was astonished. They had been friends for years, but he had never seen Xiao Ziyu so angry. What happened? Wang Xiao poured Xiao Ziyu a cup of water and sat down opposite him. We're friends, so tell me what I can do. Wang Xiao patted his shoulder. If I can't help you, there's always Brother Chun. Have you forgotten how close we are? Wang Xiao sounded smug. Wang Xiao and Chun Ziyun were very good friends. One could almost call them best buddies. Xiao Ziyu rubbed his eyes and almost burst into tears. Xiao Ziyu wiped his eyes when Wang Xiao wasn't looking. No one saw his tears. A long while passed before he fought back his tears. Fei Fei is dead. What? Wang Xiao almost jumped to his feet. What happened? She was perfectly fine 2 days ago, wasn't she? You saved that spot for her. I reported it to Ziyun, and he immediately said yes. Even I was surprised. This proves that Ziyun has recognized her capability. How did she die? Did someone kill her? Xiao Ziyu was pleasantly surprised when he heard what Wang Xiao said. He asked excitedly, did Captain Chen agree to give that place to Fei Fei when you told him it was my request? If that was the case, did that mean that Shun Ziyun would take care of Feng Wu? Wang Xiao tilted his head. I told him that we could pick a student from Class B and train them. Yu Ming is in poor health, and a new member can replace him. Ziyun immediately said yes. He said to choose the best student in Class B. Wang Xiao turned to Qiu Ziyu. Everybody knows that Shan Jingfei is the best student in Class B. Of course, that place is hers. Qiu Ziyu knew that Feng Wu was probably as good as Shan Jingfei, but he hadn't seen her fight, so he was suspicious of her real capability. As for Qin Ziyun, being the head of the martial arts society and the captain of the varsity team, he would be too busy to notice a new student like Feng Wu. He had no doubt that Qin Ziyun was referring to Shan Jingfei. The thought excited him because he believed he wasn't alone in this. Qin Ziyun was on his side. Feng Wu, you're dead. What happened to Shan Jingfei? How did she die so suddenly? Why didn't I hear anything? Wang Xiao frowned at Qiu Ziyu. Qiu Ziyu had come here ahead of Feng Wu because he wanted to convince the others that Feng Wu was the villain. When Wang Xiao asked, he told a dramatized version of what really happened. Knowing that the others had signed a non-disclosure agreement, he lied about what happened and made Shan Jingfei the innocent girl whom Feng Wu had set up. He did everything he could to slander Feng Wu. Fei Fei is alive now, but she's as good as dead. Xiao Ziyu gritted his teeth. She was forced to go to Peace Grassland and was made a member of the Suicide Squad. Chapter 2761. Feng Wu is outrageous. Chapter 2761. Feng Wu is outrageous. That Feng Wu is outrageous. Hearing Xiao Ziyu's description, Wang Xiao didn't like Feng Wu at all. I can't believe someone can be so vile. Sun Yu, another member of the varsity team, interjected, "Wait. Something doesn't add up." Wang Xiao looked at him. Sun Yu said, "You care about Xiao Ziyu so much that you may have missed a few details. I think there are some loopholes in that story." He then turned to Xiao Ziyu. "You said Shan Jingfei offended Feng Wu. So Feng Wu set her up and forced her to go to Peace Grassland." Xiao Ziyu nodded. "That's right." Sun Yu asked, "Were you there when that happened?" Xiao Ziyu said, "Of course." Sun Yu said, "Is Feng Wu well-connected?" Xiao Ziyu hesitated. Sun Yu said, "The answer is no then." Xiao Ziyu said, "Maybe she is." Sun Yu asked, "Who's her patron?" Xiao Ziyu didn't know what to say. Sun Yu stared at him and frowned. "I know you. You never let things drop, even if your actions aren't justified. Why would you let her do such a thing when you think you can justify yourself?" Xiao Ziyu was speechless. After the initial surprise, he glared at Sun Yu. He was supposed to be a friend. Why would he say that? Frustrated, he wanted to punch Sun Yu. However, they heard footsteps outside. Chu Chu had brought Feng Wu here. Chu Chu stuck his head into the room to find Xiao Ziyu there. He smiled awkwardly. "Feng Wu, this is as far as..." He was cut off by an angry voice. "Chu Chu, get your ass down here." It was Xiao Ziyu. Chu Chu rubbed his nose and realized Xiao Ziyu was angrier than he had expected. Feng Wu led the others into the room. "What a pretty girl." Wang Xiao, who had been feeling indignant about what happened to Xiao Ziyu a moment ago, was elated to see such a beautiful girl. His eyes lit up, and he was the first to greet Feng Wu. "May I ask your name? Who are you looking for?" "I'm Wang Xiao, and I can find anybody for you." Wang Xiao patted his chest. She was so beautiful. Not only that, there was also something about her which made it impossible for one to look away. "I'm Feng Wu." Feng Wu nodded at Wang Xiao. "Feng Wu, why did that name sound so familiar?" Wang Xiao scratched his head. He suddenly felt Xiao Ziyu glaring at him and was reminded of something. "Feng Wu, you're Feng Wu." Wang Xiao stared at the girl in disbelief. She seemed so innocent and harmless. Feng Wu nodded, unaffected by his attitude. Wang Xiao didn't know how to react. He was going to shake her hand, but now he had to awkwardly put it down. Sun Yu, who had questioned Xiao Ziyu before, stepped out and asked Feng Wu, "Are you the new member of our team?" Feng Wu found him to be a reasonable person, so she nodded. "Yes, I'm here to register." Sun Yu frowned a little. "Before that, I think you need to explain what happened to Shan Jingfei." "Shan Jingfei?" Feng Wu glanced at Xiao Ziyu. Xiao Ziyu was still angry, but he avoided Feng Wu's gaze. He slowly moved toward the door. Chapter 2762, Confrontation. Chapter 2762, Confrontation. Feng Wu immediately saw what Xiao Ziyu's plan was. He was trying to make her the villain. Feng Wu glanced at Xiao Ziyu before turning to Sun Yu. "First of all, I'd like to know what Xiao Ziyu told you." Xiao Ziyu grew uneasy. Sun Yu said, "He said you set up Shan Jingfei and Mr. Gongsun Mu sent her to a suicide squad in Peace Grassland. Is that true?" Feng Wu was shocked. "Did he really say that?" Sun Yu nodded. "Is it true?" Feng Wu didn't answer him. Instead, she walked up to Xiao Ziyu and smirked. "Do you have the guts to tell that story again in front of everyone?" Xiao Ziyu was frustrated. "Of course. I'm not scared of you." He glared at Feng Wu. "I'm telling the truth." "Fine." Feng Wu nodded. "I've had enough of your bullshit. I'm taking you to see Mr. Gongsun Mu and Mr. Duan. I'd like to see you tell that story to them. She then grabbed Qiu Ziyu by the neck and dragged him toward the door. Qiu Ziyu felt as helpless as a chicken. Everybody was astonished, including Qiu Ziyu himself. He wanted to break free. However, Feng Wu was so powerful that her grip felt like an iron clamp. He couldn't get away from her. There was nothing he could do. Qiu Ziyu, the captain of the junior varsity team, was being dragged away like a chicken. Was Feng Wu even human? Qiu Ziyu failed the first time when he tried to get away. He then used all his power. To his frustration, he still couldn't get away. He felt so humiliated that he tried even harder. The sad truth was that nothing he did could loosen Feng Wu's grip. Damn it! Qiu Ziyu had never felt so defeated before. He had always been proud of his power, and what was happening was a hard blow to him. He thought he was so much better than Feng Wu and had planned to teach her a lesson someday. But now, he knew that wasn't going to happen. Wang Xiao saw Feng Wu drag Qiu Ziyu away and noticed that Qiu Ziyu was too scared to struggle, so he blocked Feng Wu's way. Stop! Put him down. Feng Wu stared at him. Out of my way. Wang Xiao wouldn't move. Feng Wu frowned. Don't make me say it again. If he wouldn't move, she would make him move. They heard footsteps at that moment. What's going on? It was a stern and authoritative voice. Everybody looked up. Captain Chun. Ziyun. Boss. It was none other than Chun Ziyun himself. He had 2 team members with him. Together with Sun Yu and Wang Xiao, the entire team was here. Ziyun. Qiu Ziyu shouted when he saw Chun Ziyun. Help me. Chun Ziyun frowned when he saw the sorry state he was in. He was shocked by Feng Wu's beauty when he saw her face. It made him wonder, since when was there such a pretty girl in the academy? He only knew one pretty girl, and her name was Feng Wu. Feng Sun had asked him to watch over her. Chapter 2763. Your Feng Wu. Chapter 2763. Your Feng Wu. Chun Ziyan looked at Feng Wu. Who are you? Wang Xiao answered the question for her. She's Feng Wu. I don't know where she came from, but she can't run wild here in our territory. Who does she think she is? He was so angry. Qiu Ziyu was his buddy, and he felt so humiliated to see him being dragged around like that. However, Chun Ziyan didn't hear anything after hearing Feng Wu's name. Feng Wu. Feng Wu. She was the girl that Feng Sun had asked him to look after. Chun Ziyan had gone away for a while, so he had asked Wu Shan to keep an eye on her. Wait, hadn't Feng Wu only joined them a short while ago? She was supposed to be a new student in Class B. You're Feng Wu. Chun Ziyan looked at her in astonishment. Feng Wu nodded. Chun Ziyan slowly looked from her face to her hand. She had Qiu Ziyu by the collar. Qiu Ziyu was a member of his team. He was a top 10 student in Class A. Chun Ziyun's face twitched. Why would such a capable girl need his protection? He wasn't sure if he was her match. Seeing that Chun Ziyun wasn't speaking, Wang Xiao told him the story that Qiu Ziyu had made up. In the end, he said, Ziyun, she's too arrogant. We can't have her on our team. Chun Ziyun had the right to turn down any candidate. Wang Xiao looked at Chun Ziyun expectantly before glancing at Feng Wu. He thought, yes, you're pretty, but with that lousy personality, no team will have you. Everybody else in the room gave Feng Wu sympathetic looks. They didn't know how she had pushed Shan Jingfei away and stolen her place, but with Chun Ziyun here, she would never be accepted. Wang Xiao was Chun Ziyun's best friend. However, what Chun Ziyun said next almost made Wang Xiao jump. Chun Ziyun walked up to Feng Wu, lowered his head, and looked into her eyes with a smile. So you're Feng Wu. I've heard so many good things about you. Who would have thought you can be so outstanding at such a young age? He was going to pat her on the shoulder, but when he recalled that the girl was protected by young Lord Feng, he didn't dare touch her. He awkwardly drew back his hand and cleared his throat, reminding himself that she was his equal, not his junior. His teammates were astonished. Chu Chu stared at Chun Ziyun. What was going on? That wasn't supposed to happen. Wang Xiao and Sun Yu looked at each other in disbelief. Is the captain all right? Ziyun. Wang Xiao stepped forward and frowned. According to Qiu Ziyu, Feng Wu isn't a nice person. Chun Ziyun threw a dirty look at him. According to Chiu Ziyu, is it? Do you believe everything he says? Are you an idiot? Chiu Ziyu was speechless. So was Wang Xiao. The crowd was speechless. Their captain had never scolded them like that before. What happened? Why did he seem so nervous? Chapter 2764, Chastised. Chapter 2764, Chastised. Of course, Chun Ziyun was nervous. Young Lord Feng cared about this girl so much that he treated her like a princess. Wang Xiao had no idea why. Chun Ziyun shouted at him. He kicked the ground with the tip of his foot and felt wronged. Chun Ziyun gave him a stern look, but his face lit up when he turned to Feng Wu. Come in, Miss Feng Wu. Chun Ziyun had almost addressed her as my lady. Feng Wu frowned. Why do you believe me? Chun Ziyun was surprised. Why wouldn't I? Feng Wu glanced at him. Do you believe Shan Jingfei had it coming? Chun Ziyun nodded. Of course she did. He wouldn't expect any less of someone who had offended the girl young Lord Feng doted on. Feng Wu said, Does that mean you believe me when I say that Chiu Ziyu is lying? All eyes were on Chun Ziyun. Chun Ziyun said, Naturally, I can't believe a single word out of his mouth. Chiu Ziyu was almost in tears. Since when was he so untrustworthy? Why shouldn't Chun Ziyun believe him? Seeing that Chun Ziyun was more clever than she thought, Feng Wu ignored Chiu Ziyu and told Chun Ziyun, I'm here to register. It's our pleasure. Please come in, Chun Ziyun said respectfully. Wang Xiao and the others were astonished. Chun Ziyun had always been a proud and unapproachable man. His boss was young Lord Feng, and young Lord Feng's boss was the crown prince. Talk about connections. Why did it feel like Chun Ziyun was fawning on Feng Wu? Am I seeing things? Wang Xiao rubbed his eyes and tried to convince himself otherwise. Wang Xiao. Chun Ziyun called his name in a stern tone. Yes, coming. Wang Xiao was woken up from his reverie, and he rushed into the room. He thought Chun Ziyun was going to ask him to help Feng Wu with a registration, and he was ready to object. However, Wang Xiao soon realized he couldn't be any more wrong. Chun Ziyun glanced at him and said impatiently, What did you say about Miss Feng Wu just then? Wang Xiao stammered, Well, Chun Ziyun smirked. I'm taking Miss Feng Wu to the registration office. You stay here and reflect on what you did wrong. You're not going anywhere until you give me a satisfactory answer. What? Chun Ziyun was taking Feng Wu to the registration office. Personally, everyone looked at one another in bewilderment. Wang Xiao couldn't control his temper anymore. Damn it, who the hell is that girl? Everybody shook their heads. I have no idea. It feels like she came out of nowhere. Chu Chu raised his hand. I asked around in Class B and found out something about her. Speak. The others were so curious. She's supposed to be an outstanding student. She only joined the War Academy a few months ago. She started in Class E and moved up to Class B. Wait. If she's here, that means she's at least among the top 10 students in Class A? His words were met with silence. Feng Wu's resume was too unbelievable. They didn't know what to say. Chu Chu said, She's so pretty and so talented. No wonder Captain Chun is so obsequious. Ahem. Sun Yu rolled his eyes at him. Watch your language. Chu Chu grinned. I'm only trying to say that Captain Chun seems to have a thing for Feng Wu. Chapter 2765, Teasing. Chapter 2765, Teasing. The others chuckled along when they heard Chu Chu's teasing. So that's what this is about. They looked at one another and reached a tacit understanding. Captain Chun is so lucky, someone mumbled enviously. The others nodded. If they had a beautiful girlfriend like Feng Wu, they would behave the same way. Chiu Ziyu wanted to slap himself. He felt like an idiot. He had tried to slander Captain Chen's girl. Ziyun is going to hate me for this. My life will be so miserable. The thought made him shudder. Will I be kicked out? Chiu Ziyu asked timidly. The others looked at him in resignation. Wang Xiao didn't give up. Chiu Ziyu, don't be scared. So what if she's Ziyun's girlfriend? He has to be just and play by the book. Don't worry. He won't publicly punish you for that. What about privately? Xiaoziyu still wanted to cry. Everybody felt sorry for him. It was such an unlucky day for him. It's all my fault. Shan Jingfei was sent to Peace Grassland because she did something wrong. She deserved the punishment. I was only trying to blame it on Feng Wu because I thought she didn't have any connections. I should have known better. Xiaoziyu wanted to pull out his hair. Wang Xiao was utterly disappointed. Have you given up already? Xiaoziyu asked. Will I be kicked out? Wang Xiao was frustrated that Xiaoziyu was already feeling defeated. A member of Dynasty team should show more confidence. He should stand his ground. Wang Xiao no longer cared about which girl was right. He only knew he couldn't lose this fight. Chen Ziyun took Feng Wu to Gongsun Mu. To complete the registration, Feng Wu needed the signatures of the two vice chiefs of the academy. One was Gongsun Mu and the other one was Zhuo Qingwan. Chen Ziyun was usually in Peace Grassland and didn't know this requirement. Zhuo Qingwan. Chen Ziyun frowned. Why haven't I heard of her before? Where's Chief Zishuan? Gongsun Mu then told him that Chief Zishuan had gone to Peace Grassland, leaving Zhuo Qingwan as her temporary replacement. Chen Ziyun still couldn't accept it. Is she the girl with the legendary true phoenix blood? Then she should be my age. Gongsun Mu nodded. Chen Ziyun asked, what's her level? Gongsun Mu said, she's a spiritual king. Chen Ziyun said, at her age? That's impressive. What level is she? Gongsun Mu raised a finger. Level 1. Chen Ziyun was shocked. What makes her think she's good enough to be our vice chief? We're not some makeshift school. Gongsun Mu gave him a warning look. Be careful with your choice of words. Chen Ziyun said, a level 1 spiritual king just isn't good enough. She's so much weaker than you. Gongsun Mu said, it's only temporary. Chief Zishuan said, that's still against the rules. Chief Zishuan doesn't have the right to appoint her replacement. Then he heard a voice. Chapter 2766. She doesn't deserve it. Chapter 2766. She doesn't deserve it. Just then, someone spoke from outside. Chief Qingwan is His Royal Highness's fiancé. It was Mr. Wang, the tutor from Class D, who had a grudge against Feng Wu. Chen Ziyun frowned at him. What? When did that happen? No one told me that. Mr. Wang sounded smug. You've been in Peace Grassland the whole time, and you wouldn't have come back if it hadn't been for the upcoming competition. Of course you wouldn't know about it. Feng Wu looked at them in resignation. Fiancé? It had to be one of the rumors Zhuo Qingwan was spreading. Chen Ziyun shook his head. I don't buy it. Mr. Wang laughed. Your opinion doesn't matter. Miss Qingwan is the Crown Prince's future wife, and you can't change that. Chen Ziyun glanced at Feng Wu. If Zhuo Qingwan really was going to marry the Crown Prince, and Feng Wu was Feng Sun's girl, then Feng Wu would be inferior to her in status. He already believed that Feng Wu was close to Feng Sun. Feng Wu, do you know if Zhuo Qingwan is His Royal Highness's fiancé? All eyes were on Feng Wu. Mr. Wang shook his head. What could she possibly know? You shouldn't ask her. Chen Ziyun said, didn't Feng Wu join us only a month ago? She should know what's going on outside better than we do. Moreover, he looked at Feng Wu. Moreover, you're close to Feng Sun. You should have some inside information. You're close to Feng Sun? Mr. Wang gave Feng Wu a strange look. He remembered Feng Sun as a rebellious heir of an influential family. That boy was supposed to be very proud and hard to get along with. Feng Wu nodded. Yup, Mr. Wang said, that's impossible. Feng Sun is the young lord of Northern Feng Mansion. Why would he befriend an ordinary girl like you? Feng Wu glanced at him. Because I'm pretty. Is that enough? That rendered Mr. Wang speechless. What a unique argument. Seeing Feng Wu's stunning beauty, there was nothing Mr. Wang could say. However, he still smirked. So what if you've won young Lord Feng's heart? Zhuo Qingwan is the Crown Prince's future wife. You still have to obey her. Feng Wu rolled her eyes again. She couldn't be bothered by Zhuo Qingwan's petty tricks, but she wasn't going to put up with Mr. Wang's mocking. She said, Zhuo Qingwan? His Royal Highness does have a fiancée, but it's not her. What? Everybody in the room stared at her. Chen Ziyun was intrigued. Really? His Royal Highness is engaged. To whom? Mr. Wang smirked. Do you think we should trust you instead of Chief Qingwan? Feng Wu frowned. Is it so important to find out who the Crown Prince's fiancé is? I thought we were here to complete my registration. Gongsun Mu came back to his senses. Even he had almost forgotten about their real business here. After he signed Feng Wu's form, he told her, after Chief Qingwan signs it, you'll be a Class A student and a member of the seeded team. Feng Wu frowned. Do I have to ask for her signature? Gongsun Mu said yes. That's the required procedure. Chapter 2767, A Possible Level 8 Spiritual Lord. Chapter 2767, A Possible Level 8 Spiritual Lord. Feng Wu frowned. What if she won't sign? Gongsun Mu smiled. Why would she do that? Mr. Wang smirked. She thinks she can get whatever she wants just because she's pretty. She's disrespectful toward Miss Qingwan and slanders Miss Qingwan behind her back. It's only natural that Miss Qingwan won't sign her form. Feng Wu looked at him in resignation. Would it kill this man to stop criticizing her? Chen Ziyun said, I need to go out for a second. He was bewildered. He didn't know what was going on with Zhuo Qingwan, whom he hadn't met so far, and he had to ask Feng Sun what that was about. He immediately left the academy. Being the head of the martial arts society not only gave him the right to treat the vice chiefs like his equal, but also gave him the privilege to use the portal at any time. Northern Feng Mansion. Boss Feng, you're here. Chen Ziyun was perplexed when he saw Feng Sun training at home. Since when did Feng Sun start working so hard? Feng Sun had no choice. Feng Wu was making such fast progress that if he didn't hurry up, he would fall behind. Boss, you have amazing taste, Chen Ziyun teased him. Feng Sun glanced at him in confusion. I'm talking about Feng Wu, Chen Ziyun explained. He had pulled Feng Wu's file before he came here, and he almost couldn't believe his eyes. One amazing student. Given the speed of her progress, she was good enough to be a student of Mu Jiuzhou. Feng Sun didn't pay much attention to Chen Ziyun at first, but his eyes lit up when Chen Ziyun mentioned Feng Wu. It had been over a month since he last saw her, and he missed the girl. Boss Jun had made him stay at home to cultivate. Otherwise, he wouldn't be stuck here. Of course, Feng Wu is amazing. Feng Sun's face lit up. My girl has to be. Chen Ziyun was misled. He was convinced that Feng Wu and Feng Sun really were a couple. I'd like to hear it, though. How's Xiao Wu doing? What class is she in? Feng Sun thought that given Feng Wu's capability, she should be in Class D already. However, what Chen Ziyun said next almost made him jump. Chen Ziyun said excitedly, she's about to join Class A and our seeded team. Feng Sun spat out the water in his mouth. Class A. He had gone to the War Academy as well and knew the rules there. Bullshit. Feng Sun rolled his eyes at Chen Ziyun. Even if you want to flatter Xiao Wu, you need to make it believable. I'm not an idiot. Chen Ziyun wiped the water on his face and said in resignation, Boss Feng, why would I make up something like that? He then took out a sheet of paper and handed it to Feng Sun. Here's Feng Wu's file. Have a look. Feng Sun's eyes widened when he read it. Chen Ziyun didn't feel so defeated when he saw how shocked Feng Sun was. It felt good that he wasn't the only one to feel shocked. The paper shook in Feng Sun's hand, and he stared at Chen Ziyun. Is everything on it true? The paper recorded what Feng Wu had achieved so far. She had been in Class E at the beginning of the first month. She was in Classes D, C, and B after that. She got into Class A this month and was halfway through the registration. She was also making her way into the seeded team. Overall evaluation. She could be a Level 8 Spiritual Lord. A Level 8 Spiritual Lord? Feng Sun's eyes widened. He had been training hard all this time. Chapter 2768, Untitled. Chapter 2768, Untitled. Boss Jun had stopped forcing him to solidify his foundation and had allowed him to make breakthroughs again. Even so, He couldn't make progress as fast as Feng Wu. It's only been months, and she's risen from Class E to Class A. She's also become a member of the seeded team. I'm amazed, Feng Sun said in admiration. Chen Ziyan winked at him. Boss Feng, you have impeccable taste, Feng Sun said with satisfaction. Of course I do. All my family members are amazing. It once more confirmed Chen Ziyun's conclusion that Feng Wu was Feng Sun's girlfriend. They were talking about the same person, but completely different relationships. I have a question, Boss Feng. Chen Ziyan wasn't here just to sing Feng Wu's praises. Is His Royal Highness engaged? Chen Ziyun probed. Where did you hear that? Feng Sun glanced at him. I thought you were in Peace Grassland the whole time. Chen Ziyun said, I heard about it as soon as I got back. She's a student in the academy, isn't she? Feng Sun said matter-of-factly, That's right. He thought Chen Ziyun was referring to Feng Wu. Chen Ziyun looked stunned and then sighed. So it really is her. Feng Sun said, Who else can it be? Chen Ziyun seemed disappointed. Feng Sun was alarmed. You're not in love with her, are you? Chen Ziyun shook his head. Of course not. I haven't even met her. Why would I be in love with her? I just think no girl is good enough for His Royal Highness. Feng Sun was perplexed. Why was Chen Ziyun saying he had yet to meet her? He had been talking about her just a minute ago. She was halfway through registration. He had definitely met her already. Something didn't feel right. Which girl are you referring to? Feng Sun asked. Chen Ziyun was confused by the question. Isn't Miss Zhuo Qingwan? Feng Sun snapped. Bullshit. That's the scariest thing I've ever heard. What? What? Why was it scary? Chen Ziyun scratched his head. Isn't Miss Zhuo Qingwan the Crown Prince's future wife? Mr. Wang was so certain. Of course not. She's never going to marry Boss Jun. That's total bullshit. The thought of Zhuo Qingwan upset Feng Sun. She's making a big deal out of their childhood friendship. Marry the Crown Prince? She must be dreaming. Feng Sun then thought of Feng Wu's current level and panicked slightly. If he didn't hurry, she would be more capable than him in no time. He had to start cultivating now. You should get going. That's enough gossip for one day. I'm going into seclusion now. Make sure you protect my girl. Don't bother me unless it's really important. Feng Sun then pushed Chen Ziyun out of his room. Chen Ziyun was still in shock when he walked into the portal. It wasn't Zhuo Qingwan. Feng Sun had confirmed it. Gosh, how dare Zhuo Qingwan spread that rumor? Wasn't she afraid that His Royal Highness would expose her lie? Ding! The sound signaling that he had returned to the academy woke him up from his stupor. Oh gosh! Chen Ziyun smacked his forehead when he realized something. His Royal Highness's fiancée is in the academy, but who is she? Why hadn't he asked Feng Sun? Chen Ziyun felt so foolish. He wanted to ask Feng Sun now, but he recalled what Feng Sun had just said. He said he was going into seclusion and didn't want to be disturbed. But Chen Ziyun was so curious. Chapter 2769, Untitled. Chapter 2769, Untitled. Chen Ziyun tried to figure it out on his own. If Feng Wu wasn't young Lord Feng's girl, then an idea suddenly struck him. OMG, could it really be her? He had heard that rumor before, but hadn't thought much of it. He had asked Washan to protect Feng Wu only as a precaution. If Feng Wu really was the fiancé, Chen Ziyun was thrilled. That was very possible. After all, Feng Wu was so beautiful and talented. The idea made Chen Ziyun's face light up. He quickly went back to the academy and was on his way to find Feng Wu. Beep. He was being paged through his badge. Yes, Mr. Gongsun, Chen Ziyun replied. Come to my office now. Gongsun Mu's tone sounded urgent. Chen Ziyun was immediately on his way. He ran into Feng Wu before he got there and asked curiously, Why are you here? Feng Wu gestured at her badge. Every student had a badge, but students in classes C, D, and he couldn't communicate with theirs and could only use it to send out distress signals. Only students in classes A and B could communicate via their badges. However, the range only covered the campus and some parts of Thousand Eye Forest. According to the official explanation, that was the furthest the signal could extend. Chen Ziyun's face lit up when he saw Feng Wu, and he almost blurted out, "Feng Wu, are you her?" However, he forced himself to calm down. "You're a captain, so act like one," Chen Ziyun reminded himself. Chen Ziyun's gaze made Feng Wu uneasy. "Is there a problem?" Chen Ziyun said, "No, it's nothing. Don't worry about Zhuo Qingluan's signature. No one will make trouble for you." Feng Wu said, "I'm not worried." Chen Ziyun patted his chest. "Leave it to me. You'll be fine." Feng Wu nodded. Chen Ziyun glanced at her and asked tentatively, "We haven't heard from His Royal Highness in a while, have we?" Feng Wu said grumpily, "How's that any of my business?" Chen Ziyun thought, "That's so cold." According to Feng Sun, you're the Crown Prince's future wife. He began to wonder if she really was the fiancée. He was still wondering when they arrived at Gong Sun Mu's office. Gong Sun Mu wasn't alone. There was another person in the room. Gong Sun Mu treated him the same way he treated Elder Mei. "Elder Wu, Chen Ziyun is here," Gong Sun Mu said respectfully. Elder Wu was very old. His hair was all white, and his skin was spotty with age. He nodded and looked at Chen Ziyun. "Follow me, then." Chen Ziyun seemed to know the old man and showed him much more respect than he did toward Gong Sun Mu. "Elder Wu, why are you here?" Chen Ziyun was confused. Gong Sun Mu explained, "We're facing two issues. First of all, the members of the military academy's team have made great progress. If everything goes as planned, we're bound to lose the competition." Chen Ziyun was surprised. "Really?" Gong Sun Mu nodded. "Yes. Something incredible happened to them, and they all rose by 1 or 2 cultivation levels." Chapter 2770, Untitled. Chapter 2770, Untitled. They're all 1 to 2 levels higher than before. You're bound to lose the competition next week. Therefore, we must give you special training. We're also lucky in a sense that the secret essence mine suddenly showed up. You've all trained in the gravity training room before, so that place is no longer as effective for you. The secret essence mine has ample spiritual essence and is supported by a formation. It's great for training. You'll be able to make significant progress in a short time. Therefore, you'll be training in the secret essence mine this week. Gong Sun Mu then turned to Chen Ziyun. Elder Wu will tell you how the training session will be carried out. Elder Wu would be their training officer this time. He would be in charge of training and protecting them. Chen Ziyun was thrilled to hear that Elder Wu was going to train them. "Great. I'll inform my team members now. We'll leave in 5 minutes." Elder Wu was pleased with his efficiency. While they were waiting, Chen Ziyun asked Gong Sun Mu, "What about Zhuo Qingluan? Is she coming?" Gong Sun Mu said, "She's already inside the secret essence mine with Elder Mei." Gong Sun Mu had to admire Zhuo Qingluan. When she set her mind on something, she would always do it. When she realized that Elder Mei was an expert in formations, she started following him around and behaved like a hard-working student. Gong Sun Mu was sure that once she couldn't learn anything new from Elder Mei, she would abandon the old man like a used shoe. She was so pragmatic that Gong Sun Mu didn't want to get close to her. Chen Ziyun frowned. "In that case, how about Feng Wu stays behind?" The secret essence mine was too dangerous, and Feng Wu's team was only a backup. She probably wouldn't need to have anything to do with it in the competition. Gong Sun Mu was about to agree when Elder Wu shook his head. "She's coming with us." Feng Wu was confused. She didn't really want to go. Why did the old man insist? Elder Wu didn't explain. He put his hands behind his back with an enigmatic look on his face. Chen Ziyun, Feng Wu, and Gong Sun Mu didn't know what to say. The team members soon arrived. These included Chen Ziyun, Sun Yu, and Wang Xiao from the varsity team, the latter released from his confinement. All the members of the junior varsity team were there as well. "Elder Wu, all 10 people are here. Are we leaving now?" "Let's go." In the secret essence mine, Elder Mei had stopped the wind outside earlier, and the two elders had a special way to communicate. Before long, the two groups of people got together. Elder Wu went to talk with Elder Mei. As for the rest, Zhuo Qingluan and Mr. Su were with Elder May. Zhuo Wan didn't want to see Feng Wu here. However, she wasn't going to lose her temper in front of so many people. Instead of being hostile, she smiled at Feng Wu. "You're here." Feng Wu was alarmed. Zhuo Wan had never smiled at her before. Chun Ziyun was reminded of what he had heard, and felt a chill run down his spine. "Hello, Chun Ziyun." Zhuo Wan greeted him with a stern, authoritative tone. Chapter 2771. This is the real you, 1. Chapter 2771. This is the real you, 1. Chun Ziyun. Zhuo Wan stared at him. "You're the captain of the seeded team, aren't you?" Chun Ziyun was thinking about what Feng Sun had said about Zhuo Wan. Feng Sun had said, "That woman loves to connect herself to Boss Jun. Don't believe a word she says." "Hello." Zhuo Wan was displeased when Chun Ziyun didn't answer her. Some people had a sense of superiority and were exceedingly arrogant. If other people didn't show them enough enthusiasm, this type of person would think they were being ignored and become hostile. Zhuo Wan was exactly that kind of person. Chun Ziyun had no idea that he had offended Zhuo Wan because he didn't greet her with screams or tears. "And you are?" Chun Ziyun pretended not to know her. Zhuo Wan frowned. Chun Ziyun was the captain of the seeded team, which Feng Wu was about to join. Zhuo Wan was only speaking to him because she thought he could be useful. She didn't expect such an indifferent reaction. Seeing that the mood was becoming tense, Mr. Su intervened with a smile. "This is Miss Zhuo Wan, our new vice chief. Zun, you've been in Peace Grassland the whole time. No wonder you don't recognize her." Zhuo Wan's mood improved a little. Since she didn't scold Chun Ziyun didn't want to offend her either. There was no need to cause unnecessary trouble. He nodded at her and smiled politely. "I see. I've heard so much about you." Zhuo Wan found his attitude perfunctory. She frowned and looked away. Chun Ziyun was glad that she was no longer staring at him. He suddenly remembered something and said to Zhuo Wan, "Miswa, I'll need a little favor." Zhuo Wan gave him an arrogant glance. Chun Ziyun handed her a form. "I'll need your signature here." Zhuo Wan took the piece of paper and smirked inwardly. It was Feng Wu's registration form. Everybody else had signed it, and her signature was the last thing Feng Wu would need to complete her registration. Zhuo Wan pretended not to recognize the form. She frowned and said, "Do you not know where we are? We don't have time for such trivial things now." She then put the form into her sleeve. Chun Ziyun was astonished. "Why did you do that?" She only needed to sign the form. It couldn't be any easier. Why did she scold him? Since this was the first time he had seen her, he didn't think he had offended her. In that case, he looked back at Feng Wu. Feng Wu gave him an indifferent nod. Chun Ziyun took the hint. Zhuo Wan claimed herself to be the crown prince's fiancée, while Feng Wu was the real fiancé. Of course the girls held a grudge against each other. What a troublesome day. Chun Ziyun rubbed his head and smiled bitterly. Just then, they heard Elder Wu's voice. "The secret essence mine is a dangerous place, and none of you can walk off on your own. Violate the rules, and you'll be kicked out of the team." That was some serious punishment. The team members looked at one another in bewilderment. Zhuo Wan chuckled. "I heard a student mention earlier that her paper crane could lead us out of the secret essence mine." "Nonsense." Elder Wu's face darkened. Chapter 2772. This is the real you, too. Chapter 2772. This is the real you, too. "No paper crane can do that," Elder Wu said sternly. "You must be dreaming." Elder May said, "It's not impossible. I heard that inscription masters at level 8 or above have that sort of ability. Unfortunately, only the Dongseng Kingdom has such capable masters. We don't have any." Zhuo Wan was surprised. "There are no such masters in the Empire? Are you sure?" Elder May said, "Of course." But Zhuo Wan pretended to search her memory. "I thought a student gave you a paper crane earlier and told you it could lead you out of here." "Bullshit." Elder May's face darkened. What does a student know about formations? How many inscriptions can it possibly know? Inscriptions were made from complicated combinations of words, which could form patterns. As the level went up, the difficulty increased exponentially. Inscriptions were incredibly difficult to learn. Elder May was an extremely talented inscription master, but he was stuck at level 7 and couldn't move on to the next level. If he couldn't do it, what could a student possibly do? I remember now. There was a paper crane. Mr. Sue took the crane out of his chest pocket. I still have it. The inscriptions were written so carelessly that it made me wonder. If we really get lost. His eyes lit up when he saw Feng Wu. Isn't she that student? Yes, it's her. Elder May looked at Feng Wu and was disappointed by what he thought was a lie. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Elder May waved his hand. Tear it up, Feng Wu said. It really can. Zhuo Qingwan made a move before Feng Wu could do anything. She grabbed the paper crane from Mr. Su and tore it to pieces. Feng Wu frowned. She looked around at the tunnels before turning to Zhuo Qingwan and Elder May. I hope you won't regret that. Zhuo Qingwan smirked. Regret? Who the hell do you think you are? Feng Wu wasn't angry, but Chen Ziyun couldn't stand it anymore. Feng Wu was the crown prince's future wife, so she could say whatever she wanted. Zhuo Qingwan was only a fake. She couldn't talk to Feng Wu like that. Chen Ziyun stared at Zhuo Qingwan. Watch your attitude. What? Everyone stared at Chen Ziyun. His teammates couldn't believe it. It was so unlike their captain. He always played it safe. Did he know who he was talking to? Zhuo Qingwan didn't expect it either. She had even considered winning Chen Ziyun over to her side. Unfortunately, she still hadn't found her own team and had to fight her own battles. She let out a streak of energy, which rushed toward Chen Ziyun. Feng Wu was going to help him, but she saw Chen Ziyun was doing all right on his own. Zhuo Qingwan was a level 1 spiritual king, whereas Chen Ziyun was a level 9 spiritual lord. The difference was quite small. No wonder Chen Ziyun wasn't intimidated by Zhuo Qingwan. Chapter 2773, Quarrel 1. Chapter 2773, Quarrel 1. Although they were only one level apart, they belonged to two different stages. The difference was quite apparent. However, Chen Ziyun had accumulated a lot of experience in Peace Grassland, so he was able to exchange quite a few blows with Zhuo Qingwan. Feng Wu was trying to figure out Zhuo Qingwan's moves when Elder May bellowed, "Stop it!" Zhuo Qingwan was fawning on Elder May, so she immediately followed his order. Chen Ziyun smirked. A vice chief is only slightly better than a Class A student. Are you sure you're adequate for the position? What a humiliation. Zhuo Qingwan was furious and wanted to strike Chen Ziyun. Feng Wu stepped out and smiled at Zhuo Qingwan. You get angry so easily. That's not something a vice chief should do. Zhuo Qingwan didn't know how to react to that. She turned around and glared at Feng Wu. Elder Wu didn't expect the new vice chief to lose her temper with a student. By his standards, Zhuo Qingwan indeed wasn't qualified for the job. The Crown Prince gave me the job. You can always complain to His Royal Highness. Zhuo Qingwan smirked at Feng Wu. The Crown Prince? Jun Linyuan. Zhuo Qingwan had just made a bold statement. Jun Linyuan's name represented the ultimate authority. No one would challenge his recommendation. If he sent Zhuo Qingwan here to be the vice chief, she was good enough for the job, no matter how little talent she had. Therefore, even Elder Wu didn't have anything to complain about. Even Elder May, who had ignored Zhuo Qingwan until then, glanced at her. Feng Wu snapped. How can you be so shameless? Jun Linyuan is mine. Everybody fell silent when they heard what she said. They all looked at Feng Wu as if she were an idiot. Chen Ziyun was the only one who had let out a breath of relief. He was right. Feng Wu really was the Crown Prince's future wife. Zhuo Qingwan glared at Feng Wu with eyes that could spit fire. She wanted to skin Feng Wu alive. Feng Wu couldn't believe she had said those words and wanted to slap herself. Oh my God, why did I say that? She was mortified. Seeing that Zhuo Qingwan was going to lose her temper again, Elder Wu said. Silence. Stop this nonsense. It's so inappropriate. Chunzian didn't mind being scolded, since he was only a student. However, Zhuo Qingwan was a vice chief, and she considered herself to be in a prestigious position. She couldn't stand it when someone reprimanded her like that. She had never felt so embarrassed before. Her face went scarlet red. Before she could react, Elder Mei took out a map he had drawn and handed it to Elder Wu. I've explored this area already. Follow the map, but don't leave this area. He drew a circle on the map. The area was at least 10 kilometers in radius. Chapter 2774, Quarrel 2. Chapter 2774, Quarrel 2. Elder Wu's eyes lit up. You've explored such a large area in such a short time. How impressive. Elder Mei shrugged and sighed. I'm getting old. I'm already a little tired. Well, off you go. He didn't like having too many people around since it would affect his thinking process. After all, studying formations was a complicated process. If he was disturbed, he would need to start from the beginning again. Elder Wu nodded and was going to lead the team away. Elder Mei glanced at Feng Wu. Young lady, do some solid work. Apparently, he thought Feng Wu had been bragging before. What was he referring to? The paper crane, the crown prince, or both? Feng Wu smiled at him. I think one should be humble and accept their old age. Elder Mei's eyes widened. He was a formation master. Imperial College only had a handful of formation masters of his level, and people revered him. However, a student had just disrespected him. Elder Mei's face was livid. Zhuo Qingwan smirked at Feng Wu and mouthed, "You arrogant idiot." Meanwhile, Chen Ziyun and his team stared at Feng Wu as if she were God. Where did this girl come from? She had just said those things to Elder Mei. Elder Mei, shows you didn't know what to say. At first, he thought he could pick on her because she was merely a new student. However, this new student had offended Zhuo Qingwan and Elder Mei one after another. Xiaoziu didn't know if he should laugh or cry. What kind of trouble had he gotten himself into? He wondered if he was even qualified to be her enemy. No, she's not my enemy. Xiaoziu decided to give up. Elder Wu only scolded Feng Wu after they were a few kilometers away. Don't you know you should respect your teachers? Yes, you're talented, but that doesn't give you the right to talk to a senior like that. Feng Wu stuck out her tone. That was because he said those things to me. Elder Wu said, have you forgotten who he is? He's a level 7 formation master. We only have a handful of people like him in the Empire. Who do you think you are? It was very generous of him to let you go. Feng Wu nodded. Wang Xiao frowned. He thought Feng Wu was just a pretty face. Why did Elder Wu say she was talented? She was probably the least talented student on the team. Elder Wu seemed to think very highly of her. Why? But no one could answer Wang Xiao's questions. Elder Wu announced the mission. You'll be training within this 10 km area. You'll be divided into pairs. The first will be paired with the 10th, the second with the 9th, and so on. Chen Ziyun raised his hand. Elder Wu, can I team up with Feng Wu? She's new and doesn't know the rules. I think I should keep her safe. Elder Wu gave him a strange look. Keep Feng Wu safe. He was going to make Feng Wu the team leader, but after hearing what Chen Ziyun said, he had a new plan. You'll be divided into 2 groups, then. Chen Ziyun and Feng Wu will be in one group, and the other 8 in another group. Chapter 2775, Competition. Chapter 2775, Competition. Everybody stared at Elder Wu. Did he have the wrong idea about their levels? Except for Feng Wu, all the other members were level 9 spiritual lords. Chen Ziyun was the captain, so he was better than the other 8 and was a peak level 9 spiritual lord. The other 8 members were senior spiritual lords. There wasn't much difference between their cultivation levels. However, Elder Wu had just paired Chen Ziyun with Feng Wu, who was practically a burden, while the other 8 members were in the same group. Elder Wu, that's not fair at all. Wang Xiao protested. Elder Wu rubbed his chin. Yes, Wang Xiao was right that it wasn't fair. However, The special training was, in fact, for Feng Wu only, so fairness didn't matter. Elder Wu frowned and said sternly, "Why is it unfair? Just do as you're told." Wang Xiao didn't dare speak up anymore, but he murmured, "Feng Wu is so weak. It's so unfair to Ziyun." Both Elder Wu and Qiu Ziyu stared at him. Feng Wu was so weak. Qiu Ziyu didn't know what to say. She was anything but weak. When she had grabbed him, he couldn't fight back at all. He was ranked 6th on the team, but Feng Wu had picked him up as if he were a chicken. That was some terrifying strength. However, he wasn't going to tell Wang Xiao that. It was too humiliating. Elder Wu looked at the others. "Do you also think Qin Ziyun is at a disadvantage?" Everybody nodded. Elder Wu turned to Feng Wu. "Your task is going to be 5 times theirs. Problem?" Feng Wu shook her head. "Nope." Qin Ziyun couldn't believe his ears. "Young lady, you can't be so conceited. It'll get you killed." Feng Wu said impatiently, "I can do it on my own." Qin Ziyun almost laughed. He couldn't understand why she was so arrogant. Elder Wu didn't even ask Qin Ziyun's opinion before he announced, "There are a lot of spirit stone worms in this 10 km area." He pointed at the map. "They're in these 2 spots. I've chased away the weaker ones with my energy. The weakest of the remaining ones are level 8 spiritual lords, and the strongest ones are spiritual kings." He then turned to the other group. "Who's the group leader?" They all looked at Sun Yu. Sun Yu was the 2nd strongest member of the team. Naturally, he became the group leader. Elder Wu said, "Your group will kill 1,000 worms." He then told Feng Wu, "Your group will kill 5,000. Gosh, everybody sucked in their breaths. 5,000? That was impossible. "At least 10% of them have to be spiritual kings," said Elder Wu. "You have 7 days. Spiritual kings?" Although they could defeat spiritual kings when they fought as a team, it was still very difficult. Elder Wu gestured. "Sun Yu, your team will go first." The 8 people left, and Elder Wu turned to Feng Wu. He said, "You alone must kill 4,000 worms." He walked away after that. Feng Wu remained unaffected, and Qin Ziyun was dumbfounded. He was too scared to speak. He then asked Feng Wu, "Does Elder Wu hold a grudge against you?" After some thought, he said, "He must be getting back at you for offending Elder May earlier." Chapter 2776, Untitled. Chapter 2776, Untitled. "Don't worry." Qin Ziyun patted Feng Wu on the shoulder. "Call me Brother Chun, and I'll help you. Deal?" Feng Wu had to kill 4,000 spirit stone worms, and the weaker ones had been chased away by Elder Wu, leaving only the strong ones. 400 of the worms had to be spiritual kings. How was Feng Wu ever going to complete that task? Qin Ziyun was worried for her. However, Feng Wu only glanced at him. "Are you sure you want me to call you that?" "Well," Qin Ziyun suddenly realized whom he was talking to. "No, that won't be necessary." Qin Ziyun shook his head. What a stupid request. He had almost flirted with the crown prince's future wife. Feng Wu and Qin Ziyun moved quickly. They soon ran into the first wave of spirit stone worms. All 3 of them were level 8 spiritual lords. Qin Ziyun wanted to give the opportunity to Feng Wu. "Quickly kill them." Feng Wu rolled her eyes at him. "Don't you need them?" Qin Ziyun said, "You need to kill 4,000 worms. I think you need these 3 more than I do." Feng Wu shook her head. "No, I don't." Qin Ziyun glanced at her. He had never met such an arrogant girl before. He killed the 3 spirit stone worms without hesitation and handed the crystal cores to Feng Wu. "Take them." Feng Wu said, "I don't really need them." Qin Ziyun said, "I'm offering them to you." Feng Wu said, "All right." She didn't want to owe him any favors, but he just didn't get it. Qin Ziyun said in resignation, "Why did you give everybody a paper crane?" Feng Wu had given each team member a paper crane before they parted ways. The others had been embarrassed to receive them. Elder May had just said that the paper crane was useless, but Feng Wu gave them out again. The others felt it would be unfriendly of them to turn down the paper cranes, but they felt foolish accepting them. Qin Ziyun asked, "Did you give one to Elder Wu?" Feng Wu said, "Yes, I did." Chun Ziyun said. Elder May said the paper crane wouldn't work. Why do you? Feng Wu looked into his eyes. It'll work, Chun Ziyun said in resignation. What should I say to make you understand? Feng Wu said, you'll see when something happens. Chun Ziyun didn't want to talk to the stubborn girl anymore. Just then, a voice came out of Chun Ziyun's armband. Captain Chun Ziyun, Captain Chun Ziyun, do you copy? Do you copy? Elder May had cleared out this area and set up some spiritual stones, enabling the students on the team to communicate via their armbands. Chun Ziyun said, copy. Wang Xiao, how are you doing? Wang Xiao sounded cheerful. Zin, we just ran into some spirit stone worms and killed 50 of them. I think our group may win this time. Elder Wu told them that the captain of the team for the competition would be chosen from the winning group. If Wang Xiao's group won, Wang Xiao asked, Zian, what about you? How many have you killed? Chapter 2777, Wonderful. Chapter 2777, Wonderful. Chun Ziyun said, well, 3. Wang Xiao was surprised. It's been half a day, and you've only killed 3. How? Chun Ziyun said, we haven't run into many spirit stone worms. It hasn't been our luckiest day. He glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was the one who had chosen this route. She wouldn't follow the map and had insisted that she knew a place where they could find a lot of spirit stone worms. They had been traveling along bumpy paths since then. What could he do except follow her? Wang Xiao said, Ziyun, I don't feel right winning like this. Why don't you come to us? We've run into quite a few worms on our way. The 8 of them only needed to kill 1,000 worms, but Chun Ziyun and Feng Wu had to kill 5 times that. Chun Ziyun glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu shook her head. No, Chun Ziyun could only tell Wang Xiao. Just carry on with your task. I'm sure Elder Wu has his reasons. Although he still couldn't see what they were. Chun Ziyun ended the call after that. He looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Do you really know where to find so many level 8 spirit stone worms? Chun Ziyun was a peak level 9 spiritual lord and could fight several level 8 worms all at once. Feng Wu said, yes. Feng Wu nodded without hesitation, but Chun Ziyun didn't believe her. However, she was so well connected that he had no choice but to protect her. He found Feng Wu too arrogant and conceited, which wasn't to his liking. Thus, he stopped chatting with her on the way. He wasn't alone. Other members of the team were also displeased with Feng Wu's behavior. Their journey became very quiet, but Feng Wu didn't feel embarrassed. She was focused on Little Phoenix. Right now, the bird was showing off its knowledge. I just remembered a place. I buried some spirit liquid there to ferment. Feng Wu asked, what's that? Why does it sound like you were brewing wine? Yes, that's exactly what I was doing. I was brewing spirit wine. Do you know how nourishing that is? Feng Wu said, do I need more nourishment? Little Phoenix said, you're a spiritual king already, so of course, you don't. It won't work for you either. However, it'll be quite useful for cultivators who haven't reached the spiritual king stage yet. Feng Wu asked, really? Obviously, wine can enhance one's body, but can treat chronic diseases as well. Doesn't your mother always get headaches? The liquid can treat them. Your friends have been making slow progress, and the liquid can help them too. I'll also need it. It'll help me reach the spiritual king stage. You've been making so many breakthroughs recently, but I haven't. I need to pick up my pace. Little Phoenix, save that bit for last. Feng Wu's eyes lit up as she listened. When she heard the last bit, she asked, this is all for your cultivation, isn't it? No, it's not just for me. There's a cup too. It's been working hard, but it still can't catch up with you. With the liquid, it'll rise to the spiritual king stage too. Wouldn't it be great to have 2 spiritual kings as your bodyguards? Chapter 2778. How do you know? Chapter 2778. How do you know? Little Phoenix kept trying to persuade Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, if it's so precious, why don't you fetch it yourself? Since you've been hounding me, does that mean you can't do it on your own? Little Phoenix didn't mind its little plan being exposed. It only said, You couldn't wait to go to Peace Grassland when you heard you could find the immortal spiritual fruit there. You'll have nowhere to take shelter in the vast grassland. The enemy can easily catch you if you aren't capable enough. Not only won't you find the immortal spiritual fruit, you'll also be forced to marry some enemy soldier and bear his children. What a miserable life. Feng Wu began to frown. Little Phoenix went on. However, things would be different if you had 2 spiritual kings as your bodyguards. We'll protect you. Moreover, Zhuo Qingwan is on her own, whereas we'll have 3 spiritual kings. She'll be the one at a disadvantage. The bird nagged on, and Feng Wu heard enough. She said, fine, fine. The spirit wine, is it? Where can I find it? Little Phoenix immediately stopped nagging and said excitedly, I'll tell you once you're there. The slightest mistake will render it useless. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. Didn't you say you buried the spirit liquid? Are you sure it has turned into spirit wine? Little Phoenix said, yes, it's very likely. Feng Wu said, talk to me once we're there. I don't think anyone would have touched it. Little Phoenix said, yes, it'll definitely be intact. It had been a precocious thing it did many years ago. The bird hadn't known it would reincarnate. It had only planned to hide here when it was severely injured and sip the spirit wine while it waited to recover. It had never occurred to the bird that it would be so weak one day that it couldn't open the seal. Feng Wu? Hello. Chunzian tried to talk to Feng Wu while she was communicating with the bird. We've almost reached the boundary of the 10 km area, but we still haven't found any spirit stone worms. Feng Wu said, let's keep moving. Chun Ziyun paled. What? Keep moving? No, we can't. The map doesn't cover that far, and we won't know the way. Feng Wu thought for a moment and said, how about this? You stay here, and I'll finish the journey on my own. Didn't Elder Wu give us separate missions? You'll kill 1,000, and I'll kill 4,000. It'll work better that way. She was about to step out of the boundary. Chun Ziyun frowned and said sternly, Feng Wu, I have no problem protecting you, but you've crossed the line. Feng Wu looked at him, perplexed by his sudden outburst and reprimand. She narrowed her eyes. Chun Ziyun said, I'm helping you because you're His Royal Highness's fiancé. Feng Wu said, how did you know that? Who told you? Chapter 2779, Nervous. Chapter 2779, Nervous. Since Feng Wu didn't deny it, Chun Ziyun knew he was right. Feng Wu really was the fiancé. It only made Chun Ziyun feel more conflicted. He didn't know how he should react. Feng Wu asked, was it Feng Sun? Chun Ziyun said, not directly. I guessed it myself. Feng Wu said, in that case, pretend you don't know anything. I want to keep it to myself. She suddenly frowned and looked to the right. Countless black dots were moving toward them. Chun Ziyun was perplexed. What's going on? Why do you look so serious? She didn't just look serious. She had already drawn out her sword. Get ready for battle. She turned to her right after that. Behind them was a spacious clearing that was perfect for a battle. Ready for battle? With spirit stone worms? Were they? Chun Ziyun didn't sense anything. He had a very acute sixth sense, and he had always depended on it on the battlefield. As soon as he asked those questions, his stomach lurched. He was getting the creepy feeling that only appeared in life-or-death situations. He involuntarily followed Feng Wu's gaze. When he saw what was coming, his heart raced and his pupils contracted. Spirit stone worms. They were coming. There were so many of them. How many were there? At first, he thought there were hundreds of them. But soon he realized there had to be thousands of worms. What are you waiting for? Run. He grabbed Feng Wu's hand and wanted to drag her away. He thought, did she freeze at the sight of the spirit stone worms? Why is she just standing there? He soon lost hope. Because they could only move forward or backward. The road ahead was packed with spirit stone worms, and he could sense worms behind them as well. It was incredible. He soon saw another group of spirit stone worms rushing toward them from another direction. There were at least thousands of them. The worms in the front were level 8 spiritual lords, and the spiritual kings were probably in the rear. Chun Ziyun's heart sank when he saw both exits blocked by spirit stoneworms. This is the end. I'm going to die here. He tried to shield Feng Wu behind him. However, he soon realized it was impossible because there were spirit stoneworms everywhere. Chun Ziyun shouted into his armband, Elder Wu! Elder Wu! Help! Elder Wu frowned. What? Chun Ziyun said, Spirit stoneworms. So many of them. Elder Wu said, I'll be right there. The seated team had its privileges. They were the only people who were granted privileges, and the school allocated them more resources. Captain Chun, what's going on? How many spirit stoneworms are there? Why are you panicking? Where are you now? I'll come to you. Chun Ziyun gritted his teeth as he saw the worms rushing toward them from both sides. Don't come here. You'll get killed. Sun Yu, if we die, you're the next captain. Lead dynasty team and defeat our opponent. Understood? Was he leaving his last words? The other teammates became nervous. Chapter 2780, Glory 1. Chapter 2780, Glory 1. Captain Chun, Ziyun, Brother Chun. All his teammates freaked out because they didn't know what was going on. From what they knew about Chun Ziyun, he wouldn't have asked for help unless he was in serious danger. Qiu Ziyu was the only one who was excited to hear the news. Chun Ziyun was with Feng Wu, which meant Feng Wu should be in danger as well. Qiu Ziyu felt today was his lucky day. His enemy was going to die before he needed to do anything. Of course, he didn't show that emotion on his face and still appeared worried like everybody else. Chun Ziyun regretted bringing Feng Wu here. Calm. If I had known how dangerous it would be, I would never have brought you into the secret essence mine. Chun Ziyun gritted his teeth. Don't worry. I promise I'll save you, and I won't disappoint you. I'll stall the spirit stone worms and kill a way out of here. You just run as fast as you can. Once Elder Wu gets here, you'll be safe. Feng Wu glanced at him. What about you? Chun Ziyun smiled bitterly. Me? I worked so hard, but I'm going to die here. It's not the end I was waiting for. I disappointed His Royal Highness last year. I don't want to disappoint him again this year. Feng Wu asked, disappointed him? Chun Ziyun said, yes. We lost the competition against the martial arts team last year. We thought we could turn things around this year, but now. He was the strongest member on his team. When he died, his team would lose all hope. My only regret is I haven't led Dynasty Team to victory and regained our dignity. Chun Ziyun said gravely. The spirit stone worms were almost on them. Remember what I said. I'll open a way for you then. However, Feng Wu charged out before Chun Ziyun could finish. Little Phoenix looked at the worms as if they were pets. It asked, shall I pee on you too? Feng Wu rolled her eyes and charged at the worms. Fallen Star Sword. Ground control. Dot. With each word, her power grew a little. Calm. After the last word, her energy covered an area within a 100 m range. Thump. Blood filled the air like a mist. It obscured Chun Ziyun's vision. The air smelt like blood as well. He was dumbfounded. He had been shocked when Feng Wu charged out. She had activated her skills before he could do anything. Blood was everywhere before Chun Ziyun could reach Feng Wu. The worms' heads rolled on the ground, the confused expressions on their faces the same as Chun Ziyun's own expression. The ground looked like it had been paved with minced meat. Crystal cores piled up like a small hill. The spirit stone worms in the distance froze. They couldn't decide whether to flee or to attack. Chun Ziyun finally realized what had happened. He stared at Feng Wu in amazement. In her red dress, she stood in the middle of the dead worms. There was something untouchable about her beauty. Chun Ziyun felt she was as glorious as the goddess of the sun. Chapter 2781, Glory 2. Chapter 2781, Glory 2. Chun Ziyun ran to Feng Wu's side, walked around her, and stared at her in disbelief. You. Feng Wu's tone was unperturbed. Pick them up. What? Chun Ziyun looked at her in confusion. Feng Wu glanced at the crystal cores. I don't want to step on them. Chen Ziyan finally realized what she was talking about. Feng Wu was telling him to pick up all the crystal cores. Before Chen Ziyan could react, Feng Wu charged at the worms again. She exerted more power this time, and killed even more spirit stone worms. Chen Ziyan didn't know what to say. After the initial astonishment, he didn't know if he should laugh or cry. He realized he was the freeloader now. The captain of the seeded team was depending on a girl who had been considered a good-for-nothing. Chen Ziyan looked up and saw Elder Wu a few steps away. Apparently, Elder Wu had been standing there watching Feng Wu for a while. Just then, Chen Ziyan's armband beeped. "Captain, where are you? Are you still alive?" Chen Ziyan snapped. "Yes, I'm still breathing. What about Feng Wu? Is she alive? Did you keep her safe?" "Keep her safe." Chen Ziyan looked into the distance. The girl seemed so fragile that she might be made of glass, but she was killing spirit stone worms one row at a time. Spirit stone worms might be the team's opponent, but to Feng Wu, they were only for training. Training. Chen Ziyan looked more closely and saw that Feng Wu had been using the same stance over and over again. She was using the spirit stone worms to train her stance. "Boss, is Feng Wu still alive?" Chen Ziyan snapped. "Of course she is. She can't be any more alive." He ended the conversation after that. When he looked up again, Elder Wu was nowhere to be found. He only saw Feng Wu. "Why did you stop?" Chen Ziyan felt conflicted because he still hadn't gotten over the fact that Feng Wu was an extremely capable cultivator. Feng Wu shrugged. "They've all run off. Where are we with the crystal cores?" Spirit stone worms fed on spiritual stones, and the crystal cores they produced had even higher concentrations of spiritual essence. Chen Ziyan looked at Feng Wu. Feng Wu asked what? Chen Ziyan asked, "Are you even human?" Feng Wu frowned. "Why wouldn't I be?" Chen Ziyan said, "No ordinary human being could have done that. How did you manage to complete your mission so fast?" Feng Wu asked, "Have I killed 4,000 already?" Chen Ziyan stared at her. "You killed 4,000 worms in such a short time. That's so scary." Feng Wu cleared her throat. "I lost count." Chen Ziyan closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he exhaled. Some people were born to induce envy. Jun Linyuan was one of those people, and so was Feng Wu. Chen Ziyan finally accepted the cruel reality. After that, he began to see Feng Wu in a different light. He worshipped her now. "Feng Wu, you're incredible. No wonder you agreed to Elder Wu's request. You're already a spiritual king." Chapter 2782, Glory 3. Chapter 2782, Glory 3. Chen Ziyan grew more excited as he spoke. "I thought we were going to lose miserably, but we have you now. We may actually win." Feng Wu was perplexed. "Is the other team that capable?" Chen Ziyan snorted. "They won the competition last year. This year, they went to Peace Grassland with better resources and the right to choose their location first. They chose the third zone. It was announced later that they had found a spiritual stone mine there. You may not know this, but at the center of every spiritual stone mine is a place that can shorten the time needed to cultivate by half." Feng Wu nodded. She knew this. There was a spiritual stone mine beneath Grand Secretary Feng's house. Her family members had been making fast progress for that reason. Because she knew formations, she was able to direct the chaotic energy of the mine into the formation, where it could be slowly consumed. Ordinary people could use that energy directly. It could still improve their capability, but the spiritual essence would become unsustainable. Chen Ziyan smiled bitterly. They absorbed a lot of spiritual essence in the mine, and all of them have made a lot of progress. Sheng Changtian is their captain. He was more capable than me when I met him in Peace Grassland. I don't know what level he is at now. His teammates have improved significantly as well. They've never been as arrogant as they are now. He patted Feng Wu on the shoulder. "Feng Wu, we're counting on you." Feng Wu rolled her eyes at him. "If all 5 of them are as powerful as you say, I may not be able to defeat them all." Chen Ziyan was frustrated. "I wish we had found a spiritual stone mine as well. That way, we would have also made great progress." This one was drained ages ago. There's no energy left. An idea struck Feng Wu. The energy might not exist anymore, but something else could improve the team's capability in a short period of time. How many spiritual kings do we have? Feng Wu asked. Chun Ziyun shook his head. You don't want to know. Feng Wu said, now isn't the time to keep secrets. Answer me. Chun Ziyun asked, are you a spiritual king? Feng Wu nodded. Chun Ziyun seemed crestfallen. I'm not. Feng Wu said, I know that. Chun Ziyun said, I've been stuck at level 9 for 2 years. No matter how hard I train, I still can't make a breakthrough. Little Phoenix snorted in Feng Wu's head. Of course he can't. Feng Wu asked, do you know why? Little Phoenix chuckled. Feng Wu asked, what's wrong with him? Chun Ziyun had chosen to let her escape in a dangerous situation when he didn't know her real level. He hadn't abandoned her, and Feng Wu was grateful for that. Little Phoenix said, he made his breakthroughs too quickly before. He hasn't built a solid foundation, and his Dantian was injured again before it could recover from the previous injury. Chapter 2783, New Way Out 1. Chapter 2783, New Way Out 1. When this kept happening, it left a crack in his Dantian. His spiritual essence will leak whenever he starts to cultivate. Of course, he can't rise to the spiritual king stage. Feng Wu asked, is there a way to fix it? Little Phoenix said, the spirit wine. Let him drink it, and his Dantian will heal. He'll become a spiritual king in no time. Meanwhile, Chun Ziyun was still analyzing things for Feng Wu. After me, there's Sun Yu. He still has a long way to go before he can become a spiritual king. Sheng Chang Tian is the military college's team leader. He's a spiritual king. Another member is also somewhere between a spiritual lord and a spiritual king. His name is Liu Haobei. Before you came, we were bound to lose the competition. Now that you're here, we won't lose so miserably. At least we'll have the power to put up a fight. Feng Wu was perplexed. Are you sure we'll lose? Chun Ziyun nodded solemnly. It's the truth. I already know it. I just hope we won't lose too quickly. Feng Wu chuckled. I thought you wanted to win. Chun Ziyun said, I do, but that won't happen. Feng Wu said, you can do it. Chun Ziyun smiled wryly. He had told Feng Wu what the other team was like. Spiritual lords could never defeat spiritual kings. Feng Wu rose to her feet. Let's go. Chun Ziyun asked, where to? Feng Wu looked at Chun Ziyun. We're going to a place that'll make you a spiritual king. Chun Ziyun couldn't believe it. He was feeling miserable, but the girl was still teasing him. However, he was glad to have a spiritual king on his team. Their opponent had two, so having one on their side wasn't a bad idea. Chun Ziyun suddenly stopped Feng Wu. We're already out of the 10 km area, he said sternly. Feng Wu said, I know. Chun Ziyun said, do you know how important you are? We can't afford to lose you. We need to turn around immediately. Feng Wu said, relax. No spirit stone worm can hurt me. Chun Ziyun stared at her. Yes, but that's only limited to the ordinary ones. What if there are worms of higher levels? The spirit stone worms you killed were filtered by Elder Wu beforehand. We're safe within the 10 km radius. Once we're out of that circle, we'll be dead if we run into high-level spirit stone worms. Chun Ziyun was nagging when Feng Wu threw something into his hand. It looked like a pouch and smelled funny. What's this? Chun Ziyun was perplexed. Feng Wu said, it'll allow you to move around freely in this mine. It was what had enabled Yi Hongxue and the others to leave the mine safely. Chun Ziyun asked, what's inside? He wanted to open it. Feng Wu glanced at him and warned him, I wouldn't open it if I were you. Chun Ziyun was even more confused, but he listened to Feng Wu and didn't open the pouch. What confused him even more was that Feng Wu was right. They never met another worm, be it a low or high-level one. Chapter 2784, New Way Out 2. Chapter 2784, New Way Out 2. However, Chun Ziyun was still worried. There's so many tunnels. Do you remember the way? Feng Wu said, yes. Chun Ziyun said, how can you possibly remember that? Elder Mei said the formation changes all the time. Feng Wu didn't answer. Chun Ziyun thought he was right and panicked a little. He could live with the possibility of dying, but Feng Wu was the hope of his team. He couldn't let anything happen to her. Let's go back now. Chun Ziyun had never seemed more stern. Feng Wu glanced at him. Do you know your way back? Chun Ziyun was dumbfounded. Feng Wu didn't stop. According to Little Phoenix, the place was right in front. But Feng Wu had her doubts. Little Phoenix could have picked it up itself. So why did she have to come? Why did they have to bring Chun Ziyun? Did it involve hard labor? She had asked Little Phoenix several times, but the bird wouldn't tell her. Feng Wu had to wait. Elder Wu had given them 7 days, and a whole day had passed. Chun Ziyun lost hope. At first, the team members communicated with Chun Ziyun through the armband, but he was soon out of touch. Sun Yu was the first to notice, so he immediately reported it to Elder Wu. Chun Ziyun and Feng Wu were missing. Elder Wu frowned. He had brought them here so that they could break past their limits in a desperate situation. It wasn't like he was trying to kill them. Now that both Feng Wu and Chun Ziyun were gone, Elder Wu felt uneasy. He took the team to see Elder Mei. Elder Mei had cleared out another area by then. However, no one had heard from Feng Wu or Chun Ziyun. Their armbands were out of reach. Elder Mei was completely absorbed in solving the formation. Elder Wu told Mr. Su what had happened. Mr. Su was Elder Mei's disciple and Elder Wu's junior, but he couldn't control his temper anymore. He glared at the team members. Didn't I tell you to stay in the circle? That's the only safe area. Why wouldn't you listen? You have no one but yourself to blame. Zhuo Qingwan said. Chun Ziyun was never so reckless before Feng Wu showed up. She was trying to make Feng Wu the culprit. Mr. Su said, she's obviously the troublemaker. I knew it from the very beginning. Now she's done this. Doesn't she know how busy we are? He then turned to Elder Wu. Elder Mei has been searching every inch for the formation core. He hasn't slept for days. We just don't have the energy to look for Feng Wu. Zhuo Qingwan nodded. It's not that we don't want to. We don't have the time. Elder Wu stepped forward and grabbed Elder Mei's arm. Elder Mei had been working on the formation, and he was furious at being disturbed. Before Elder Mei could say anything, Elder Wu said, Find Feng Wu. We must find her. Elder Mei stared at him. Is she missing? Elder Wu nodded. I'll owe you one. Find her for me. Elder Mei looked from Elder Wu to the long tunnels. Chapter 2785, New Way Out 3. Chapter 2785, New Way Out 3. Elder Mei shook his head. Not going to happen. Elder Wu said, What's that supposed to mean? Elder Mei said, Do you know how many tunnels there are? 80,000. They don't stay the same. They're constantly changing. Elder Mei pointed at a board in front of him. I've only figured out several hundred of them so far. They're already deep inside. How are we going to find them? Even I can't find them, Elder Mei said sternly. I want to help you, but I can't. Elder Wu had been through many crises, but he really began to panic now. Feng Wu was the most talented kid he had ever taught. He had only looked away for 2 seconds, and that kid went missing. Elder Wu said, If you won't help me, I'll do it myself. He marched off after that. Elder Mei shook his head and went back to his work. The team members looked at one another, but didn't know what to do. Zhuo Qingwan suddenly said, I'll take you to them. Everybody turned in her direction. Zhuo Qingwan said, I'm the vice chief. Helping them is my responsibility. Moreover, I've learned a thing or two from Elder Mei. Follow me if you trust me. She began to walk away. Sun Yu and the others exchanged looks before following her. Feng Wu had no idea that the others were searching for them. If she had known this would happen, she would have told Elder Wu beforehand. Even the wisest person couldn't foresee everything. Chun Ziyun no longer hesitated. He had followed Feng Wu all the way here, and it was impossible to go back. He had no choice but to follow her. He could only hope she was telling the truth. As they approached their destination, Chun Ziyun sniffed. Why is there a funny smell? Fengwu didn't answer because she was talking to Little Phoenix. She had a far sharper nose and had picked up the scent before Chun Ziyun did. Given how clever she was, she had some idea of what it was. You didn't bury it under. Her tone was quite strange. Did you? Little Phoenix cleared its throat. Fengwu's eyes widened. Seriously? Little Phoenix cleared its throat. Fengwu asked, "What's the matter with you?" Little Phoenix said matter-of-factly, "The spirit liquid can only turn into spirit wine if it's buried there. I'm telling the truth." Fengwu didn't want to speak to the bird. She said, "I'm not drinking it." Little Phoenix said, "Well, we'll talk about that later." The closer they got, the stronger the smell was. Chun Ziyan looked at Fengwu. "Are we going in there?" Fengwu nodded in resignation. Chun Ziyun said, "Has your nose stopped working? Can't you smell it? It stinks." Fengwu said, "Of course I can." Chun Ziyun said, "Then why are we going there?" Fengwu said, "We have to." Chun Ziyun didn't want to talk to her anymore. "I'm not going." Fengwu said, "Don't you want to become a spiritual king?" Chun Ziyun stared at her. Chapter 2786, Spiritual King, 1. Chapter 2786, Spiritual King, 1. Chun Ziyan stared at Fengwu. "Are you saying the stench can help me become a spiritual king?" Fengwu said, "You'll know in a minute." Chun Ziyan found the girl too whimsical to follow around. However, she was the only spiritual king on the team, and he had no choice but to follow her around. How strange. Something occurred to Chun Ziyun. "We haven't run into any more spirit stoneworms." Fengwu said, "That's right." Chun Ziyun said, "Are the spirit stoneworms avoiding you?" Fengwu asked, "Are they?" Chun Ziyun thought about the possibility. It was only a blind guess at first, but when he thought about it, he realized it was true. Not only didn't they have to fight any spirit stoneworms, the worms would also run away from them. That was why their journey had been so uneventful. "Are they really running away from you?" Chun Ziyun stared at Fengwu in astonishment. Fengwu didn't know what to say. Chun Ziyun sighed. "You're incredible." Fengwu said, "Not necessarily." Chun Ziyun heard some noise just then. He turned around and was astonished. Spirit stone worms. Only a second ago, he thought the worms were running away from Fengwu. However, that theory had just been proven wrong. "Worms, they're coming our way." Chun Ziyun's voice trembled. He wasn't a timid man. In fact, having fought in Peace Grassland, nothing could scare Chun Ziyun anymore. However, what he saw was incredible. They were in one of the many passageways, and behind them were countless tunnels. Spirit stone worms were rushing out of all the tunnels. They were all coming toward Chun Ziyun and Fengwu. Even more were coming. Everywhere he looked, there were more worms than he could count. It was so frightening. Chun Ziyun grabbed Fengwu's arm. Spiritual kings. So many of them are spiritual kings. How could Chun Ziyun not be frightened? A single worm would crush him. Yes, Fengwu was capable. However, she might be able to fight off 1 or 2 worms, but what about 10 or 20? There were far more than 10 spiritual king worms. Why is this happening? Chun Ziyun shuddered. Why are there so many high-level spirit stone worms? Are all the capable worms in the mine here? Fengwu was amazed as well. The worms shouldn't have all gathered here. Little Phoenix could see what was happening in other parts of the mine, so it told Fengwu, "It's your enemy's doing." Fengwu asked, "My enemy? Who?" Little Phoenix snapped. "Who else in this mine would consider you an enemy?" Switching one. Fengwu frowned. "That's right." Little Phoenix chuckled. "I didn't see this coming. How interesting." Fengwu asked, "What do you mean?" Little Phoenix said, "She knows you're here, so she has chased all the spiritual king worms in this direction. She wants to use the worms to kill you." Fengwu frowned. "What does she know where I am?" Little Phoenix said impatiently, "You've underestimated Firmament Palace." Chapter 2787, Spiritual King 2. Chapter 2787, Spiritual King 2. Little Phoenix said, Firmament Palace isn't famous for nothing. Zhuoqing Wan is their sacred lady. It's not surprising that she would have a few tricks up her sleeve. Fengwu agreed after some thought. Little Phoenix said, Plus, she has sensed the threat that you pose. If she knows you're already a spiritual king, she'll kill you at all cost. Fengwu snorted. I'm about to do the same. She had worked so hard to improve herself because she wanted to get revenge and kill Zhuoqing Wan. It might look like she had moved on from her past, but no one could move on from a past like that. Getting revenge on Zhuoqing Wan was her ultimate motivation. Little Phoenix frowned. We must kill Zhuoqing Wan, but it's too risky now. Fengwu said, No, I think now is the best time. The secret essence mine is your territory, Fengwu said sternly. And I'm already a spiritual king. We're both spiritual kings. I have a chance. Fengwu had never sounded so serious. Little Phoenix wanted to object, but Fengwu's serious tone stopped it. Zhuoqing Wan was a level 1 spiritual king last time they checked. What about now? However, Fengwu was right. This was Little Phoenix's territory. What could Zhuoqing Wan do? Chen Ziyun had no idea that Fengwu was getting ready for a major battle. Wait a minute. Chen Ziyun was shocked. The spiritual king worms didn't stop for even a second as they crawled past the both of them. Some worms bumped into him, but they kept moving as if he didn't exist. Chen Ziyun didn't know what to say. It took him a while to realize what had happened. He asked Fengwu, What's going on? Fengwu shrugged. Chen Ziyun said, Why won't they eat us? He felt ignored. Fengwu said, I'm sure they have more important things to do. Chen Ziyun was confused. What's more important than eating? Soon, he knew the answer to that question. Excretion. Chen Ziyun's mouth fell open when he saw the pile of feces. He was confused. Do spirit stone worms have intelligence? They're so clean. Did they just come here to take a dump? He then saw a row of deep pits blocking their way. The worms' movements almost reminded them of human beings. They lined up, moved to the side of a pit, finished their business, and moved away. The next worm would do the same. Chen Ziyun didn't know what to say. Fengwu didn't expect to see this either, and an idea suddenly occurred to her. She knew how to handle Zhuoqing Wan. Chen Ziyun covered his nose. Let's get out of here. I can't stand the smell anymore. However, Little Phoenix said timidly, It's buried beneath the third pit over there. It almost sounded guilty. Fengwu looked at Chen Ziyun. Little Phoenix nodded. Let him do it. The look gave Chen Ziyun the creeps. He stared at Fengwu and asked, Why are you looking at me like that? Are you setting me up? Fengwu almost couldn't say it. Chen Ziyun, how about we make a deal? Chapter 2788, Spiritual King 3. Chapter 2788, Spiritual King 3. Fengwu looked at Chen Ziyun. How about we make a deal? Chen Ziyun was alarmed. What do you want? Fengwu said, It's over there. Chen Ziyun looked in the direction she was pointing. He saw the enormous cesspit. The spirit stone worm's cesspit. It was surrounded by worms. Chen Ziyun suddenly had a very bad feeling, and he was even more alarmed. Fengwu couldn't make herself say it. She asked Little Phoenix, Can't you order the worms to take it out? Little Phoenix said, It's their treasure. If they find out where it is, they'll never give it to us. We have to take it quietly. Plus, what's in the pit is feces to us. Do you know what they are to the spirit stone worms? Fengwu asked what? The bird said, It's their life essence. Fengwu burst out laughing. Little Phoenix said, Stop laughing. I'm telling the truth. Why do you think I buried the spirit liquid here? Why do you think they come here? Fengwu didn't know what to say. Little Phoenix said, Let's take it out as soon as possible before anything goes wrong. Zhuoqing Wan is headed this way. Fengwu didn't know what to say. She turned to Chen Ziyun. Something is buried inside that pit. Chen Ziyun was mortified. You're not telling me to go in there, are you? Fengwu cleared her throat. Chen Ziyun shook his head repeatedly. Never. That's not going to happen. Fengwu asked, Are you sure? Chen Ziyun said, Not going to happen. Feng Wu said, all right. In that case, I'll let Sun Yu and the others rise to the spiritual king stage after I retrieve the treasure. You can remain a spiritual lord. Chen Ziyun said, I don't believe you. Feng Wu smiled and raised her hand. A green vine extended from within her sleeve. It was glowing. However, the glow flickered a little. Little Phoenix encouraged the vine. It's all right. You're a plant. The feces will be very nutritious for you. The vine shivered reluctantly, but it dug into the pit in the end. Chen Ziyun stared at Feng Wu. What are you doing? Why are you stirring the cesspit? Feng Wu wanted to throw him inside. However, she didn't have time for that now. She had the vine go deeper and deeper, but she couldn't find anything. Feng Wu asked impatiently, Are you sure it's buried here? Little Phoenix said, Of course. I buried it myself. Why can't you find it? Feng Wu said, If you could dig the hole before, why can't you take it out on your own? Little Phoenix said, Well, just then they heard footsteps. Zhuo Qingwan's here. Little Phoenix reminded Feng Wu. She broke off from the others. Feng Wu looked around and gestured at Chen Ziyun to take cover. Chen Ziyun was confused. Why do I need to hide? Feng Wu said, You're a witness. If Zhuo Qingwan kills me, do you think she'll let you live? Chen Ziyun asked, Zhuo Qingwan wants to kill you? Why? Chapter 2789, Confrontation 1. Chapter 2789, Confrontation 1. Feng Wu asked, Why do you think? Chen Ziyun said, That's impossible. I don't believe. Feng Wu kicked him into the pit before he had time to react. Chen Ziyun was furious. That evil girl. Was she trying to kill him? Feng Wu stuffed something in his hand before she kicked him into the pit. He opened his palm and saw that it was a spiritual fossil stone. It could record things. What did that mean? The footsteps quickly approached when Chen Ziyun was about to climb out. It was indeed Zhuo Qingwan. So what? Chen Ziyun was going to come out of the pit when he saw Zhuo Qingwan attack Feng Wu without warning. It was a killing move. OMG, Chen Ziyun was astonished. He had thought Zhuo Qingwan would scold them when she found them. He hadn't seen this coming. Ding! Feng Wu drew out her fallen star sword. The two swords collided. Sparks flew everywhere. Feng Wu stumbled back to cancel out Zhuo Qingwan's force. Zhuo Qingwan stood her ground. In Chen Ziyun's eyes, Zhuo Qingwan was much more capable than Feng Wu. He was about to come out, but when he saw how strange Zhuo Qingwan's behavior was, he realized what the spiritual fossil stone was for. He thought, You clever girl. He decided he would wait in the pit and see what Zhuo Qingwan was up to. The two girls landed in their original spots after that one exchange. Zhuo Qingwan stared at Feng Wu and gave off terrifying energy. The temperature suddenly dropped. Even the air seemed to stir. Energy surged from her sword, filling the space. Zhuo Qingwan glowered at Feng Wu. Feng Wu met her gaze with the same intensity. You're a spiritual king. Zhuo Qingwan gritted her teeth, her voice shaking with rage. You managed to reach the spiritual king stage under my nose. Feng Wu gave her an indifferent look. Zhuo Qingwan's face was twisted with rage. You really are a genius. I was watching you closely, but you still managed to become a spiritual king. I'm amazed, Feng Wu. Zhuo Qingwan hardly ever let her emotions show on her face. But that was when she was around other people. She couldn't control her temper now. Feng Wu grinned a little. Do you regret it? Yes, I do. Zhuo Qingwan ground her teeth. I regret that I didn't kill you. Feng Wu said, That's right. You and your family destroyed my true phoenix blood back then. I couldn't understand why you let me live. Mercy isn't your thing. Because I hate you. I want you to live in a living hell. Zhuo Qingwan had no idea that Chen Ziyun was hiding in the cesspit nearby with a spiritual fossil stone in his hand. She had no scruples. The smell was so strong that Chen Ziyun's scent was completely covered. Had it not been the case, Zhuo Qingwan would have discovered Chen Ziyun right away and would never have said those things. She was telling the whole truth because she thought these were the last moments of Feng Wu's life. Chapter 2790, Confrontation 2. Chapter 2790, Confrontation 2. Feng Wu frowned. Zhuo Qingwan grew agitated. Let's be clear about one thing. I'm the only one who has the true phoenix blood in this world. No one else can have it. Feng Wu asked, can't we both have it? No, never. Zhuo Qingwan said decisively. I won't be the only one in everything. No one can take what's mine. Feng Wu said, we were only 8 years old 5 years ago. What could I possibly take from you? Zhuo Qingwan smirked. You didn't take what's mine? Feng Wu, you're so forgetful. Feng Wu asked, why do you say that? Zhuo Qingwan said, we both have the true phoenix blood, but why did you always make faster progress than me? Feng Wu thought, that's because I'm from another world, and I have my memories from a previous life. Of course I'm a faster learner than you. Zhuo Qingwan said, why are you more knowledgeable than me? Feng Wu's mouth twitched. That was because she was taught by her beautiful master, who used to rule the continent and knew pretty much everything. Of course, she knew more than Zhuo Qingwan. Zhuo Qingwan said, why did that old hag from Firmament Palace want to take you as her disciple, not me? The old hag of Firmament Palace? Feng Wu was surprised. She wasn't the only one. Chen Ziyun was also shocked. He had forgotten about the foul smell and only cared about what he was hearing. He remembered what happened 5 years ago. Everybody in the Imperial capital did. It was said that Feng Wu had lost her true phoenix blood because she became greedy and her cultivation went awry. As it turned out, that wasn't what happened. Her true phoenix blood had been destroyed by Zhuo Qingwan and her family. It was such shocking news. Chen Ziyun felt as if he had been struck by lightning. True phoenix blood. It was the true phoenix blood they were talking about. Chen Ziyun's breath became heavier, but because of where they were and how agitated Zhuo Qingwan was, she didn't notice. Feng Wu frowned at Zhuo Qingwan. How did you know the head of Firmament Palace wanted to take me in? Zhuo Qingwan laughed. How could I not know? That old hag complimented you in front of my grandfather all the time. She never mentioned me, who also has the true phoenix blood. If she hadn't done that, my family would never have done that thing. Feng Wu smirked. Who are you kidding? Of course your family would have done it. You've probably been trying to get rid of me ever since I was born. No, not at first, Zhuo Qingwan said earnestly. At first, when they found out we both had the true phoenix blood, they trained me with all their might. They wanted me to be prettier and more capable than you. But you were too talented. Zhuo Qingwan glared at Feng Wu. She had always been a proud girl and never showed her emotions. Now that she thought nobody was around, she decided to speak her mind before she killed Feng Wu. Chapter 2791, Confrontation 3. Chapter 2791, Confrontation 3. We should be equally talented, but you were better than me in every way. Your level was always higher. You were better looking, and you were good at everything from formations to inscriptions. We didn't want to kill you, but you asked for it. We didn't have a choice. Feng Wu smiled. You've omitted the most important reason, haven't you? Zhuo Qingwan stared at her. What? Feng Wu said, it's Jun Lin Yuan, isn't it? Chen Ziyun thought he was going to faint from the foul smell, but his spirit was lifted when he heard the name. Jun Lin Yuan. His Royal Highness. Why was the Crown Prince involved? He immediately turned the spiritual fossil stone toward Zhuo Qingwan to record this precious scene. His heart was thumping with excitement. Zhuo Qingwan stared at Feng Wu. You're not allowed to mention his name. Feng Wu smiled at Zhuo Qingwan. You never thought that the annulment of our engagement would be stopped at the last moment, did you? Her smile infuriated Zhuo Qingwan. Yes, Zhuo Qingwan admitted it. I ruined your reputation so that the royal family would reject you as a daughter-in-law. However, they didn't do that, so I had to destroy your true phoenix blood. You made me do it. Feng Wu said, I never made you do anything. You were trying to take what didn't belong to you. Zhuo Qingwan said, I know you have to fight for it if you want something. Feng Wu said, by fight for it, you mean taking it by fair means or foul? Zhuo Qingwan said, at least I made your life miserable, didn't I? Feng Wu took a deep breath. Zhuo Qingwan said, "At first, I thought you would die after losing the true phoenix blood. It was careless of me. I never thought you would survive. Feng Wu, you're so lucky." Feng Wu stared at Zhuo Qingwan. The emotion in her eyes was as powerful as a hurricane. She hadn't died, but her survival had been at the cost of her beautiful master. That thought made her want to tear Zhuo Qingwan to pieces. Even if she could revive her beautiful master in the end, he had still missed 5 beautiful years in her life. Zhuo Qingwan laughed when she saw Feng Wu's rage. "When I knew you had survived, I went to see you in the Feng family," Zhuo Qingwan said condescendingly. "I was going to kill you and finish this nonsense for good, but what did I see? Feng Lu was picking on you." Zhuo Qingwan laughed. "Feng Lu used to follow you like a dog. She would lick the bottom of your shoes. After you lost your ability, she whipped you. And she did the same to your brother and mother. She bullied your family whenever she could and even poisoned your food. I was thrilled to see that. I thought there and then that I should keep you alive. I would miss so much fun if you were dead. With you around, I could see you getting bullied when I felt like it, and it would keep me happy for some time. How wonderful that would be." Chapter 2792, Confrontation 4. Chapter 2792, Confrontation 4. It excited me to think about you lying helplessly on the bed. Zhuo Qingwan's tone was almost maniacal. Feng Wu took a deep breath. "All those things happened because I'm talented, I make fast progress, and I'm engaged to His Royal Highness. Your jealousy was the reason for everything. Zhuo Qingwan, I want to kill you." Zhuo Qingwan chuckled. "I told you already. Everything you used to own would be mine, and I was right. After you lost your ability, I became the center of attention again." Feng Wu stared at her. Zhuo Qingwan said, "I became that old hag's disciple and the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. I'm the only girl who has the true phoenix blood. I'm His Royal Highness's fiancée now." Feng Wu said mockingly, "You're Junlin Yuan's fiancée? How come I don't know that?" Zhuo Qingwan glared at her. Feng Wu said, "I thought you already knew that I'm still engaged to him." Her 11th trial wasn't done yet, and she needed to make Zhuo Qingwan admit that Junlin Yuan was in love with Feng Wu. That was why she provoked Zhuo Qingwan whenever she could. Unfortunately, she still hadn't succeeded. There was an indescribable look on Zhuo Qingwan's face. If she could, she would kill Feng Wu with her eyes. Feng Wu said, "Didn't you say I was going to die? Are you still not going to admit that Junlin Yuan is in love with me?" Shun Ziyan didn't know what to say. Miss Feng Wu was so bad at speaking her mind. She insisted that she had nothing to do with His Royal Highness, but she was showing off now in front of Zhuo Qingwan. She was trying to wind her up. It was unbelievable. Zhuo Qingwan's energy made some loud thumps, so powerful that it seemed to stir the air. Her spiritual essence started a heavy wind in the cave. Feng Wu stood where she was and smiled at Zhuo Qingwan. "You know very well that Junlin Yuan and I are engaged, and you also know he's in love with me, but you've been spreading rumors that you're His Royal Highness's fiancée. How can you do such a thing? Don't you know how it bothers me?" She tried to make Zhuo Qingwan admit the truth. It was incredible. Zhuo Qingwan had no idea that Qin Ziyun was filming, and she snorted. "That's right. I did all that. I had people spread rumors about me being His Royal Highness's fiancée. So what? I did it, and everybody believes me. Do you know why?" Feng Wu asked why. Zhuo Qingwan said, "Because you're going to die. After that, I'll be the only one with the true phoenix blood again. Of course His Royal Highness will marry me." Feng Wu sighed. "Why are you so sure that I'm going to die?" Zhuo Qingwan said, "Because I'm going to live." She made a move after that. Energy surged from her body. It rushed toward Feng Wu like a tidal wave. "You're a level 2 spiritual king, then?" Feng Wu stared at her. Zhuo Qingwan had said all she wanted to say, and it was time to demonstrate her power. She answered with her actions instead of words. The air between them stirred. The spirit stone worms, including the spiritual kings, sensed the fierce energy and ran off immediately. Feng Wu and Zhuo Qingwan were left alone. Of course, that didn't include Chun Ziyun, whom Zhuo Qingwan still hadn't sensed. Chapter 2793, Defeat 1. Chapter 2793, Defeat 1. Being a level 2 spiritual king, Zhuo Qingwan was indeed very capable. She thought she was definitely going to win this battle. Zhuo Qingwan expected to see Feng Wu sliced in half when her sword landed on the ladder. To her surprise, Feng Wu wasn't injured. Not only that, Zhuo Qingwan noticed that the spiritual essence on her blade had disappeared. How did that happen? Zhuo Qingwan couldn't believe it. She injected her spiritual essence into the blade and struck at Feng Wu again. The spiritual essence disappeared again. Feng Wu was unharmed. Zhuo Qingwan was astonished. She stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. "What are you wearing?" Only then did Feng Wu remember the treasure Jun Linyuan had given her. It was a great chance to provoke Zhuo Qingwan, and Feng Wu wasn't going to miss it. She feigned an arrogant demeanor and glanced at Zhuo Qingwan. "What do you think I'm wearing?" She pulled down her collar a little and showed Zhuo Qingwan what she had on underneath. Zhuo Qingwan immediately recognized it. She had seen Jun Linyuan's soft armor by chance a few years back and had been trying to get it ever since. She had dreamed many times that Jun Linyuan would put it on her with his own hands. But Feng Wu was wearing it now. The armor only accentuated her nice figure. Zhuo Qingwan's eyes were practically spitting fire. "That's impossible. Why would he give it to you? You must be dreaming." Feng Wu smiled at her. "If he didn't give it to me, did I steal it from him?" Zhuo Qingwan was rendered speechless. How was she going to answer that? Feng Wu smiled. "Are you still not going to admit that His Royal Highness is in love with me?" Zhuo Qingwan gritted her teeth. She would rather die than admit it. Seeing how unperturbed Feng Wu was, Zhuo Qingwan got even angrier. She struck out without warning. This time, she focused on the spots that weren't covered by the armor. The back of the head, the forehead, and the throat. There were many ways to kill a person. To her frustration, Zhuo Qingwan realized that she couldn't kill Feng Wu anytime soon. Zhuo Qingwan was a level 2 spiritual king, and Feng Wu was at level 1. There was a difference in their cultivation levels, but the gap wasn't huge. Zhuo Qingwan didn't have a 100% chance of winning, and Feng Wu might not lose. Feng Wu had a 30% chance of winning. Zhuo Qingwan grew anxious as the battle went on. She didn't know that Feng Wu was leading her toward where Chun Ziyun was hiding. Feng Wu was more prepared than Zhuo Qingwan. The prolonged battle only made Zhuo Qingwan anxious. After all, she had thought at the beginning that she couldn't possibly lose. She smirked. "Feng Wu, is that all you've got? Go to hell." As soon as she said that, Feng Wu apologized to Chun Ziyun in her head. Thump! The bomb she had buried in the cesspit earlier was set off. The explosion wasn't powerful enough to hurt Zhuo Qingwan. It couldn't even injure Chun Ziyun. However, the yellow feces splattered everywhere. Zhuo Qingwan was mortified. Chapter 2794, Defeat 2. Chapter 2794, Defeat 2. Zhuo Qingwan was dumbfounded. Caught off guard, she was covered by feces. She looked down and saw that her pretty clothes were stained yellow. Her hair was dirty as well. She sniffed and recognized the smell. Wow, she threw up. It was gross. The idea of what was on her clothes and hair made her want to pass out. Feng Wu, I'm going to kill you. Zhuo Qingwan wasn't so angry before, but now she was beyond furious. Her spiritual essence surged, and her eyes glowed with hatred. Spiritual kings could be very scary when they lost control. Feng Wu smirked. She had deliberately forced Zhuo Qingwan into this state. Although Zhuo Qingwan wasn't the noblest person, she was still very capable. It wouldn't be easy to find loopholes in her stances. Fighting her the ordinary way would be disadvantageous for Feng Wu. That was why she had enraged Zhuo Qingwan on purpose. She needed to push Zhuo Qingwan into making mistakes. After all, someone as proud as Zhuo Qingwan would never stand being covered by feces. Feng Wu had carefully chosen this spot. Zhuo Qingwan had no idea how elaborate this plan was. She took the bait and walked into Feng Wu's trap. She was furious. Her eyes were bloodshot red, and blue veins popped on her forehead. She kept attacking Feng Wu. All her stances were killing moves. Feng Wu ran so fast that she seemed to be wearing wheels. Zhuo Qingwan couldn't even grab her clothes to catch her. Feng Wu, stop right there. Zhuo Qingwan shouted. Feng Wu stuck out her tongue. Catch me if you can. When Elder Wu found them, by sensing the fluctuations of their spiritual essence, he saw the state the two girls were in. Feng Wu was perfectly calm. Zhuo Qingwan was the one who was losing control. Elder Wu was speechless. He shouted, "Stop, both of you." Feng Wu sighed inwardly when she saw Elder Wu. What a shame. Elder Wu couldn't have picked a worse time. She had finally driven Zhuo Qingwan to the edge, but the battle had to stop after Elder Wu arrived. Now that Zhuo Qingwan had learned her real capability, it wouldn't be easy to find another chance like this. At that thought, she rolled her eyes at Elder Wu. Zhuo Qingwan felt even more frustrated. Her plan was to kill Feng Wu, but Elder Wu was in her way. She shouted, "Get lost. I'm going to kill her." Elder Wu was trying to help, but Zhuo Qingwan shouted at him, even someone as good-tempered as he became angry. Seeing Zhuo Qingwan charge at him with her sword in her hand, Elder Wu waved his hand impatiently. Thump! There was a loud sound. Zhuo Qingwan flew backward and landed in the cesspit. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Elder Wu was speechless. Chen Ziyan didn't know what to say. Zhuo Qingwan didn't know what to say. Time seemed to freeze. Everybody fell silent. All eyes were on Zhuo Qingwan, who still seemed stunned. Chapter 2795, Screw Firmament Palace. Chapter 2795, Screw Firmament Palace. She was Zhuo Qingwan, the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. She was an untouchable beauty, but now she retched and threw up. She felt weak. When she wanted to stand up, she slipped and sat back down. More yellow liquid splashed everywhere. Zhuo Qingwan wanted to kill herself. Frustrated, Zhuo Qingwan turned around and glared at Feng Wu. She ground her teeth in hatred. From what Feng Wu knew about Zhuo Qingwan, she would leave, clean herself up, and take her revenge later. However, Feng Wu was wrong this time. Zhuo Qingwan rose to her feet, her eyes never leaving Feng Wu. "Elder Wu, please get out of my way." Elder Wu frowned at Zhuo Qingwan, but didn't reply. "Please go away." Zhuo Qingwan walked toward Feng Wu, still covered in feces, but Elder Wu blocked her way. "She's offended me." Zhuo Qingwan met Elder Wu's eyes. "I'm going to teach her a lesson. Move." Zhuo Qingwan's tone was very serious. In her mind, everybody should give her what she wanted, and Elder Wu should move out of her way. However, Elder Wu wasn't a member of the Zhuo family. He worked for Imperial College. Therefore, he only glared at Zhuo Qingwan. "You're a vice chief, but a student almost defeated you. Aren't you ashamed?" OMG. Feng Wu and Chen Yun both stared at Elder Wu, amazed by how bold the old man was. Zhuo Qingwan was already angry, and what Elder Wu said made her want to scream. She stared at Elder Wu. "Are you taking her side, then?" Elder Wu said angrily. "You don't get to decide which side I'm on." Zhuo Qingwan didn't know what Elder Wu was like. The old man had been bullied for half his life, so he hated condescending geniuses. However, Zhuo Qingwan didn't know any of that. She even tried to threaten him with her family and Firmament Palace. "If you move aside, you'll be a friend of the Zhuo family and Firmament Palace." How arrogant! Firmament Palace was the force which had used to bully Elder Wu. Screw Firmament Palace. Elder Wu was furious. Zhuo Qingwan didn't expect such a reaction. She was so furious that she laughed. "I'll remember what you said." She then turned to Feng Wu. "It's your lucky day. Elder Wu is vouching for you, so you get to live another day, but he can't be there for you all the time." She gave Feng Wu and Elder Wu a final glance before marching off. Feng Wu frowned a little. Zhuo Wan had her merits. She could calm down immediately after she threw a tantrum. Once she cooled her head, she wouldn't be as easy to take care of, but Feng Wu wasn't scared. She had been able to start from scratch and catch up with Zhuo Wan in a year. They were almost at the same level now. Zhuo Wan didn't scare her. What kind of grudges are there between you? Was that really necessary? Elder Wu was confused. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.